Live yet, but well, you should be able to see it too, can't it?
Yeah, it says we're live now.
Welcome to the New Normal Podcast. Today I got J Mac with me, and we got a five topic we about to talk about. Talking about Amber Rose, Are Women the Prize, and a lot more today. If y'all are watching on YouTube, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, like the video, especially give us some likes and some thumbs ups. Hold on, Jasmine, tagging you in the post now.
Okay.
Uh, I tagged you in it now,
Okay, let
so you
me.
can share it. JMD said he love us guys. Hi.
Hold on, I'm coming.
All right. That's another thing StreamYard's gonna have to get together is the tagging part of the tagging part on the lives when you go live. JD, my life, we love you too. I don't know who that is.
Okay, should be good now.
All right. I am drinking some red wine right now.
That's very classy and sedity.
Oh, so it's a did it now.
Yeah, it's a little
Uh
sedity, but I
oh.
don't like
I'm being sedated now, y'all. So today, let's talk about Amber Rose. I don't know if y'all paid attention to Amber Rose's Drink Champs with Murder Mook, but Murder Mook had told Amber Rose basically women are doing stuff where oh fuck they're doing stuff just showing their beauty and it gets them access into doors, which is a weird thing. Which I think is true because Jazz likes to argue that men like to say that just because they have a vagina, that we say gives them access to things, but she likes to disagree with that point.
Wait, when did I say that? I think
The,
I agree with that part.
the last time when we had it, when you was here with Ashanti, you was like, you had said, yeah, men always think because we have a vagina, that's just the easy card.
Oh, okay. I don't 100% remember the context of saying that, but I do remember saying that.
Because I was asking, remember I asked, I said, well, have y'all seen that video of the woman that got arrested and she was gonna get a DUI and she was like, I'll fuck you if you don't give me a DUI. And you was like, well, it has its perks and its advantages.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, though, even though I know nobody on the internet, because y'all women have tainted our image so much that nobody even believes me when I say that not all of us use our poom poom to our advantage. But I do recognize that it is something that pretty much all of us could do.
Yeah, I think when it comes to this topic about women and sexual liberation, let's talk about this. Do you think Amber Rose fumbled the bag? She had a Kanye West and a Wiz Khalifa, and her last dude left to date Cher, who is 76 years old. Did Amber Rose fumble the bag?
I definitely feel like she did fumble the bag. But at the same time, when it comes to specifically Kanye West, and actually Kanye West and Wiz Khalifa both, they're the type of men that, like, for instance, I watch a lot of the Black Authority. It's Jason Black. So that's like his main channel. Then he has the business channel, and he always like kind of equates high value men with men of means. And I kind of make a slight distinction because some of the stuff that I've seen from both Kanye and Wiz Khalifa would lead me to believe that though they might be men of means, that when it comes to being high value, I'm not 100% sold. So literally fumbling the bag, sure. But I think there's a reason why those men, why she even snagged even those men in the first place. Um,
What you mean by that?
like, so Wiz Khalifa recently was on an interview, and it might have been these same people you're talking about, but he was on some interview and he was saying that like Amber Rose was basically on some he fumbled her type deal. Like he was like, oh, she was the best relationship I ever had, or like I basically on some like I miss her type time. And I'm like, really?
Well, it got to be. I think sometimes when you're in a place of being an adult, I think he would say that because that is his child's mother as well. Because we recently seen Shaq, I think last year, talking about that, Shunny was a great woman. And basically he fumbled her and he was doing stuff to her and cheating on her and stuff like that. So, I think it was last year, year before last, and he was saying that about his relationship, that he wasn't the best, husband and father, because the role called him. But at the same time, it's like you're dating a superstar too. Like, what do you expect? Like, I'm not condoning cheating by any means, but it's like no man that I know works hard to accomplish something just to have sex with one woman. That might sound harsh, but it's just a reality. And when we're in these men groups and we're talking about, what are you gonna do when you get rich? And part of the getting rich is having a lot of sex with a lot of women. There's never, oh, I want to get married and have kids and settle down. Typically, I want to be free and run the world and slaying this meat all over the place, and that might sound bad, but that's the reality of it. What you feel about that?
Well, and so because I think sometimes, and first of all, not us matching, not even
Oh,
her,
dang.
but no, that point actually, that talking point is something that I think that people who listen to me often will probably be a little surprised at me saying this, but the same way that women have natural tendencies that are leaning towards being toxic, I think that men have them too. Like simply saying that it is in a man's nature to want to have a lot of sexual conquest, that does not like just make it like the okay thing. Like as a woman, it's in my nature to be chaotic. Like that's why women get bored so easily. That's why when we're younger, especially, we do the whole chasing the bad boy thing. We love stuff going on. That's why women gossip so much. Like that's why women are at the head of blog channels. That's the reason why we love chaos. It's in our nature. But just because it's my nature doesn't mean it's right. Like I need to be able to get to a point where I can control the beast within. And I think that men need to do that same thing. Like to me, it's kind of outrageous that when you're thinking about all the work that it would take to be successful, in the realm that I think you're referring to, for a man for one of the first thoughts that he wants to think is, wow, I've done all this work for all these years to become a millionaire or something. The first thing I want to do is go screw some hoes. Like, I, I don't know, but I know I'm not a man, but I'm just saying, I think that that's something that we all need to come to terms with, is that just because it's in our nature, sometimes it doesn't make it right.
Yeah, I think nature and controlling those natural tendencies is what separates us from being animals.
Exactly. Exactly.
I do believe that most people are animals, though, because I feel like you have to elevate your carnal mind. And
Yeah.
basically, like if you're in religion, that's a lot of religious talking points is basically conquering your carnal mind and your the devilish tendencies that you have inside of you. So just because you have these tendencies don't mean you should act on them. But if you are a Christian or you're any faith, most of the men had multiple women, concubines, wives, and did X, Y, and Z. That was never like David.
But if I may, because people use
Go ahead. Go
caveat. I'm sorry. You said go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So like people use that caveat all the time, right? And I think that it's kind of that same thing, like when people say, "Oh, you black people being Christians, but the Bible talks about slave masters." I'm like, what does it actually say though? Like the Bible simply mentioning something does not mean that it's condoning something. And a lot of times words that we use today are not the same. They don't translate word for word as the words that they use obviously in the Hebrew language and these times. So it's the same way with like these wives things. Like there are some men in the Bible that had multiple wives, but I don't think the Bible is ever actually clear on how God feels about men having multiple wives. I think it's just something they did. What I do know is the first ordained marriage in the universe was one man and one lady. And that's the only one that I know that God specifically was like, this is what I want. That he wanted Eve for Adam. He didn't say, I want Eve, Tanya, Tasha, and Toya for Adam. He just said, I want Eve for Adam. So, I mean, I think sometimes we get a little trying to cherry pick the Bible to fit.
No, no, I don't think we cherry pick the Bible. I think if you say David was a man after God's own heart, and then God, huh?
He had flaws.
Yeah, but when you're talking about when David's punishment arose, it wasn't because he had multiple wives or concubines. It was because how he did Uriah, coveted another man's wife, sent him out to the front lines to be murdered and slaughtered, and tried to cover up his sins by calling him back from the war to sleep with his wife to cover up that infidelity. It was the coveting of another man's wife that was ultimately the punishment or the reason for David being punished. It's not because he was having sex and doing other stuff, because God said, be fruitful and multiply. And it does say in the Bible, fellas, guys, love your wife, but it never said you're strictly supposed to have one wife. It said men should love their wives as if they are them. And it, like I said, the Bible doesn't condone it, but it also doesn't condemn it.
Yeah, you know what? And that's 100% right. And that's where, to any of the people of faith watching, that's where maybe you kind of seek guidance from a spiritual leader, or you just seek your own spiritual guidance from God to say, hey, lead me in the way or another. Like, I feel like, if I'm being honest, and I guess I can't speak for a lot of men, but it would appear that I think even some men are convicted by this topic. And if it's something that convicts you, then that's probably God's way of telling you that maybe this is not the right thing. Like, because you actually are married, so I'm just gonna ask you, like, would you really be able to 100% sleep at night if you brought another woman into your home, the home that you have with your wife?
So the conversations, and we're gonna get back to Amber Rose, but the conversations that me and my wife had about infidelity go something like this. If I ever feel like that I'm weak sexually and I know it's a woman that I could potentially sleep with, I will inform you before anything happens. It should be a discussion, and it should be us talking about said interaction with woman. The reason that I say this, I also feel as if it has to be certain things in place before, as a man, you think that your woman will allow you to sleep with another woman too. So I'm always going to be logical on that aspect. I'm not just going to be out here and I can only afford one woman and thinking I can go and sleep with another woman. You know what I'm saying? So like that aspect, or how her life needs to completely be for her to be comfortable with me sleeping with another woman. Right now, I don't think our life is in a spot where she would be comfortable with me sleeping with another woman. As a matter of fact, maybe 2 months ago, my wife asked me, "Hey, do you look at other women?" I was like, "Yeah." "Do you think about sleeping with other women?" I was like, "Yeah, I think about it." But that's just I think, human nature. But does it mean that I act on it? No. Does it mean that I will lose sleep if I were to cheat on my wife? I don't think I would lose sleep on it. I don't think I would necessarily feel bad. And I would say if I did feel bad, it was because of how I went about doing it. And what I mean by that is, if we had an agreement of me saying, "Hey, if I sleep with this woman and I renege on telling you and I sneaking around like a little boy, I might feel bad about that because I lied to you and that broke the covenant and trust that we have in place." But if I say, "Hey, is this woman, and I know we're in a financial state for me to request such a thing," then I wouldn't feel as bad as coming to my wife and say, hey, it's this woman that I need to knock off real quick. So, but that's me. A lot of guys don't have this confidence to go and speak to their wives or their girlfriends in this manner. So a lot of men sneak because they've been taught that lying is best. But I don't feel that way.
Well, because I know you want to get back to the topic, so I'm trying to make sure I don't probe too much to get us too far
Oh,
off.
yeah, we could. Well, I ain't got nothing else to do tonight. We can.
Okay, I'm not saying. I mean, that's some pretty heavy stuff you just laid on us. So I think I'm gonna need to, kind
Yeah,
of.
ask away. Go ahead, ask away.
So here's where I have. Okay, first let me say, I am 100% against probably everything you just said. But
Okay.
I could at least understand what you were going for until you said that you said something to the effect of, oh, if I felt myself being sexually weak, I would bring it up to my wife. See, that's where I'm like, okay, that's the difference in a poor decision or like not an accident, but and a choice. Like you were literally coming to your wife after an indeterminate amount of time has passed, whoever this woman is, that you've had these interactions, that you've had these thoughts, that it's probably been leading up to this thing. And you're literally now at the point where you're about to say, I'm about to be, this probably finna happen no matter what you say right now, but I just feel like I'll sleep better by telling you. And I'm just not 100% sure that the way.
That that could be true, and then that could not be true. For me, that's not true because sometimes we have desires that need to be talked out, or how can we smooth this over? That's not saying that, hey, I'm going to do it. And then it could be in the sense of me, if she perceive it the way you perceived it, it's like, well, if you're going to do this and I want to stay married, it needs to be under these need to be the pretenses, no STDs, no babies, nobody finding out, no drama, no dating. This should just be a strictly sexual thing. So those things and guidelines is okay and acceptable because as men, I think people in general, we get greedy with a lot of things, and I'm not a greedy man when it comes to certain things like that. So if I was with a woman and she grants me access to go and do something else like that sexually, then I, I can't ask for nothing more because I know a lot of guys are getting sneaking around and doing stuff and getting caught and then getting sent through the ringer, and but I don't feel like I'm gonna have that situation because like I said, it would be I think sometimes when we have these conversations with men and women about infidelity, we always try to is always leaned to the woman's perspective instead of the man's perspective. And even the question, if a man sleeps or cheats on you, does that mean he loves you? Love for a man and loyalty for a man is different when it comes to sex than a woman. My loyalty to a woman would technically be me taking care of you, providing for you, and stuff like that. It's not sexual. Your loyalty to me as a man would be sexual. So those are when it comes to loyalty, those are different things because because your post today said if you would cheat on your woman, that means you'll backdoor your friend. But those two things between men are different. My loyalty to my man, my homeboy, is different than my loyalty to my woman. And even though people are like, well, you don't think sex is a drastic thing? No, because as a man, we don't see sex that way.
So, I feel like, dang, where was I going to go with this? Okay, I guess I'll just start with the last thing you just said then. So to reference my post from earlier, yes, I did share a post that said if you'll cheat on your woman, you'll backdoor your homeboy. And I said, believe it or not, I agree with that statement because loyalty is loyalty, and obviously you're lacking it. To which, of course, Cedric had to be the one to say, no, it's not the same thing. So I guess I'll just give my take on why, even though I do agree partially with what you're saying, why I still think I'm leaning more in the right direction. Because like you will say that sex is like you as a man will sit here and try to minimize sex to me. But you and I both know that there have been men who have ruined their entire lives. Hell, if you believe in the story of like Troy and the
Mhm.
and the all that, that was over a woman. That was over sex with a woman, a lady. So
Hey,
obviously,
hold on. But before you go, look at how those relationships with those women started. So it's never on the strength of with Troy. The Troy was ruined because a man slept with another man's wife. If I was to partake in something like that, if first of all, I had to make sure this woman is single. It's not you having a husband where you're coming back to me. Secondly, it's a woman that I'm vetted enough to know that she's discreet in our actions and how we move and understand that this is a sexual thing. Thirdly, it would never be a time where if I was having sex with another woman, that my wife would not meet this woman and had we all have a understanding so a woman would not feel like she has one up on my wife because a lot of times side chicks feel as if they have one up on the wife because they feel like as a side chick, I know who he really is because he's sneaking with me. So I would actually have it to where my wife and the lady that I would plan on pursuing sexually, they would actually have a need to sit down and talk and understand, hey, this is what we're doing. This is not, you don't have to sneak. I'm okay with it. He has my permission and it's granted. So with that understanding, I eliminate all of that talk, those talking points of stuff being ruined of my kingdom and empire being ruined in any manner or fashion like that.
see, and that part, though, I have to keep prefacing by saying I think this entire concept is very strange. But I do say that, at least from how you're phrasing it, if that were a real thing, if there are really people out here, yourself included, or if you're just speaking hypothetically, but if there are people out here who really are just that close with their partner that they can say, I want to cheat on you, but I feel as though it's okay because I'm telling you, if you're really in that good of a place, or
Not-
are
and hold on. I said the only way that I will bring that to you is not because I feel good enough to telling you that. I feel good enough where we are financially and you're taken care of enough to where if I'm doing certain things that you will be okay with me doing certain things.
you really think, okay, so because this goes back.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. Then. Let's get into it. So, why do women sign up to be Nick Cannon's 12th baby mama? Not ugly women. We're talking about beautiful women that can find a man that's probably making maybe if not a Nick Cannon money, still be a millionaire. Why do women sign up for that?
I think we extremely downgrade the significance of mental illness in the world. I think that we,
That's what. Hold on. You think women signing up to be financially provided for one of the tenets of having a man providing for you, making sure you're in a dwelling, car to drive, food on the table, like a man with money supply. Just we're talking about the money aspect. I know, and there's other facets, but just the money alone really has your life set to where you can have the personal trainers, you can have your maids, you can have your student, your teachers come to the house and teach your kids like a man with money really. So just that money aspect alone changes the trajectory of you and the child you will potentially have. Why not?
um, so your first question was, why do I think they do it? And my response was genuine. I really do think that men like Nick Cannon, though I'm not demonizing him for this part alone, because I don't feel sorry for willful idiots, but I do think they are idiots in a sense of they're not smart. I think that the only way you can pull off this type of thing is with ditzy women. And there are a lot of pretty ditzy women in the world. I've talked about this before, like how men can smell blood in the water. I think we actually talked about that on your show. And I've learned that like throughout my life. When I was in a really low place, that's why I dealt with the type of men I did. Like they knew they could deal with me. Ever since I lost weight, picked my head up, walked with a different pep in my step, the caliber of man that even so much as wrote me in my DMs changed drastically. Certain people won't come near me with a 10-foot pole because they know they can't have access to me. And so I feel like women like that, Nick Cannon just knows the type of women that he can do this type of stuff with. To your point, the financial thing, I mean, okay, you know what I'm saying? If what you're saying is in order to be financially stable as a woman or a singular individual, I'm going to make a new individual that now becomes, instead of just me being taken care of, now I have to take care of me and another person. Being taken care of with that child does not just mean financially. The child needs to be spent time with, foster their growth and ideals. Da, 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 da. We know that. And Nick Cannon cannot possibly be 12 places at one time. So if you would purposely make yourself a single mother just to have $40,000 a month from Nick Cannon, you're an idiot. And to me, that's not reflective of most women that I know. If Ashanti was here, I feel like she would agree. Like that.
But we having a conversation. We'll talk about Ashanti later. Let's have this conversation. So what people don't fail to realize, and I don't know why this is always a thing when it comes to Nick Cannon and parenting. Most of when it comes to parenting, when it comes to men, nurturing is different, and the time spent with the child is typically different. And what I mean by that is you have when men when women said stayed at home all the time and men brought home the bacon, those men typically were never at home. So you already didn't get a chance to see those kids like that. Just think about how you'll meet some men that are truck drivers and they're always over the road and they have different families. They're able to see those families and those kids could potentially turn out to be all right because with a father's influence, a lot of times it's not really being there. It's really just having somebody to talk to and have that sounding board to give advice to. Um, and like I said, women always think because as a woman, I gotta be there. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta, be at every game, every PTA meeting. And as men, and I experience this in my life, when it comes to the involvement of my kids, I think on a day-to-day basis, my wife has more, but who my kids vibe with more is me. And so knowing that and having that level of understanding, and most fathers aren't at home like that. Like my father, he was gone 16, 18 hours a day. I hardly ever got to see him doing high school or when I was at home because he was always gone. It was never really no talking, no conversation. He was never there. Like it would be weeks at a time. I would never see my father. And he lived in the same house as me. So when women say, oh, you're not going to be able to spend time with your child, typically men were never at home. Never.
So what then, if you genuinely believe that, if you genuinely believe that there is no benefit to a father spending time with his
I
children,
didn't say that.
then what did you just say?
I said typically fathers were never at home, but there would be days where, like I said, fathers pick up the phone, call and talk to your child. It would be days where you go on vacation with your father, or a lot for us as Black people. Typically, the family days were Sundays. We go to church and spend all day in church, and Monday through Sunday, Saturday, your father was at work, and church was your day, or you know Bible study. So, like for me, the most part time I spent with my father was in church, and even when we was at church, we wasn't together. So and that's typically when I'm talking to other people about their fathers and their mothers not working, the father was always at work.
I I think and it could just be that I have a unique, or I had a
So
unique.
what? So your mother and father together.
Yes,
What did your father do for a living?
he was in the military.
So him traveling and y'all moving over, did y'all move a lot and stuff?
Yeah, definitely more than most people.
So y'all moving and traveling, and you mean to tell me he wasn't gone a lot of the times out of the day?
See, and forgive me if you're already familiar. I don't like to woman explain people, but in the event you don't know how it was mostly like for people in the military, like my dad was in the army, so like he would have tours. Like of course there would be times when he would be deployed, but if he's not deployed, then he works a regular 9 to 5. So he would be home like 4:30, take my brother to every single basketball practice he had, every pick me up from every cheer practice I had, and be at every game that either one of us had. So I can't relate to that at all.
So,
Like my dad
so
went
when your dad is on tour and he's gone a year at a time, 2 years at a time.
a year, just the longest he ever was gone was a year.
Okay, so you have a year here. he might be home 3 years, another year here, another year there. How what's to say in during those years he's not there? Those are influential times that he could be missing to raise you a certain type of way.
Well, they certainly were for me, unfortunately, not so much for my brother because he's considerably younger than me. So by the time he was, I think the last tour he had to deal with Daddy was he might have been like 5. But I, well, maybe a little bit older than that. But either way, not much older than that. And I had to deal with it like up until I was what, like 15 years old.
Hmm.
So of course, that's a pretty touchy age, right? You know, I'm kind of getting into it with my mom a lot because my mom and I, even to this day, still butt heads a lot. We're just too similar. Um, but to your point, I can understand what you're saying, as you know, to say, well, hey, Jazz, you know, your dad missed actual literal whole years out of your life. It wasn't many, by the way, but I'd say in total 4 or 5, maybe 4 years of my life that he was just literally not there. But you know, of course, we got our phone calls and video chats and this kind of thing. But if you were to ask him, because he has talked about this before, he has said that he would have given anything to be with us during that time. So I can't imagine.
I what you're saying, I agree. I agree. But for men to take care of a household typically requires a lot of hours away from home. So those a lot of hours away from home is either I'm gonna lay up with you, my wife, and my kids, and we struggle, or I go out here and get the bacon. I like to have the lights on, like to have food on the table, I like for y'all to have running water, hot water. I like for y'all to have a dwelling to lay in at night. I like for y'all to have nice vehicles or decent vehicles so they won't break down on my wife and my children. Like those things typically, if you look at the jobs that men have, like men going to driving trucks, men going off to oil fields, men in military doing tours, men working in steel mills, 16-hour days in steel mills. It's so many jobs that men have that take them away from their family. If we just to boil this down to where when it comes to how women view what is needed to take care of a child, women feel as if I have to be here every waking moment for my child because this is how I nurture. But typically it doesn't take all of that. And if that was the case, I could prove a point. If that was the case of women felt that way, why do so many women in today's time send their children off to school?
Okay, wait, because I was with you, but then you kind of pivoted. Are you saying you're trying to disprove that you're trying to disprove women's sincerity when they make that statement?
Yeah, because if you felt that men needed to be in a child's life that much, why would you send them off to be raised by someone else 8 to 10 hours a day? If you felt as if fathers were that necessary, if you felt you being a mother was that necessary, so many women, and we see this on a day-to-day basis, have children, have children with men, and then kick the man out the house and then use daycare and school as daycare and schools as daycares or babysitting places.
See, and I knew we'd come to a consensus at some point because I know sensible people when I talk to them, Cedric. I know you're a sensible person. So I think that
Ain't that sensible?
we're conflating though. I think we're conflating um like for instance, like someone like myself. I recognize the way I think is not popular in today's times. I can understand that, but I do know I'm not the only woman in the world that thinks the way I do. That we're out here, we're just being outshined by fools. And I actually have this conversation all the time. I had this conversation with Darian before we became very serious. And at the time, he had never heard anyone talk like this. So it kind of took him aback. He's like, what are you like? What do you think we're living in the 50s or something? Like, of course you need to be at work and you can't just not work. And what do you mean stay at home with the kids? And I was explaining to him, I'm like, no, you need to listen to what I'm saying. If we get married and we are able to live off one income, or at very least that if I am working, it's either part-time or I'm doing something from home. Maybe I have like my hands in some different things that don't require me being away from the home. That is very important to me because I need to be with my children. As a mother, I 100% understand what you were saying. That is my niche. Like, I need to do my kids. I recognize that the man's role as a father is not quite as, presence based as a mother's role. So to answer your question of why the women do that, it's pure laziness. They get the best of both worlds.
So I'm gonna say this. What up, Darius? I'm gonna say this. The presence of a father is typically more than enough to raise children. And what I mean by that is you raise the children, I discipline the children. You know that I'm coming home every night or every other night or once a week, depending on my job. And you say, hey, baby Jazz was acting up. Then that person, then I discipline a child. Oh, a child just knowing that their father is present, not every day, but knowing that I could be reprimanded or disciplined at any time, that is a big deal. Knowing that a man sleeps in his house, knowing that this man has some type of structure in his house and has to be ran a certain type of way because this man demands that. That is the presence of a father, not necessarily being there every day, but you understand daddy stays here. Daddy's daddy has rules. And I'm telling you, like if we can look up jobs, the typical jobs that men have, a lot of these jobs take men away from homes. I'm not saying it's right, but it is what it is, especially in today's society when we don't talk about inflation. We don't talk about when you look at memes and people making jokes about eggs. People are making jokes about eggs. Eggs were the cheapest thing you could go in the grocery store and buy, a few cents a carton. Now, $10 a carton for eggs. That's 30 minutes worth of work for a lot of people to get a carton of eggs. Just think about that. So,
So
yeah, go ahead.
I think that this conversation, maybe, I don't know if it's like a cognitive dissonance thing for me, but I feel like the way you're phrasing this is throwing me off, like saying, because like I don't understand, like for you, I think this is just more like your perspective because you are a truck driver. But you told me that I thought you said that you'll drive, but then like you can be home.
Yeah, I'm home every day.
Okay, so what then would prevent you from being home every day? Like,
Well, before I had the job that I had now, I was at home every other day or gone every 2 days. And um those 2 days, those 1 days that I was gone, typically I come back, my house is not in disarray. So, like I said, just the presence and my woman knowing, hey, I got to come back to this house. It needs to be a certain type of way. That's always going to give a structure. Now, when you have a woman who has children and she has no one to answer to and she can run it how she wants to, that's how we typically have these kids out here running rush hour over the streets and doing whatever they want to do because there is no male presence. And a lot of these men, when they have a male presence in the house, it's typically a nigga that's coming through to, lay some Peter whack on their mama here or there, or they mama need the handyman to come through. So she break them off a little piece, but so he can fix the leaky faucet or patch something on the roof or cut the grass or something like that. Because let's be real, if you're a single mother in today's time, you have to know all these different types of men and be doing something to where it's not hurting your pockets. But a lot of people don't want to talk about it. Go ahead.
so I have a question, and this is going to be a very direct question, but I actually really want an answer. Is there anything that we women can do that's just going to totally satisfy y'all? Because it sounds like to me that you, and it's not just you, like even men that I respect, but y'all all kind of have this underlying thing where it sounds like you're saying that the idea of being a husband and father is something that you just concede to doing as opposed to actually wanting to do.
Negative.
So, because the reason I said it is to go back to your example about the stepping outside of your marriage thing. Like, if it's just sex, could it not just be a conversation with your wife to say? Because we all know things affect that, right? Like your things affect your physical intimacy. Having kids, the kids running in and out your room and they want to bounce up and down on your bed, and or just your wife after she has a child, maybe for the first whole year or two, maybe she's just unrecognizable. She's got all this fat in new places and she doesn't feel sexy, and then you're like, okay, I don't know what to do. But can that not just be a counseling thing, a talking it out thing? Like, I just refuse to believe that your wife could not, with enough coaching and prodding, that she could not sexually satisfy you. Like, what is it?
But that's the issue. That's typically the issue between men and women when we have these conversations, because I'm going to tell you something. There's a lady that was a matchmaker. Her name was Rebecca Lynn Pope. I don't know if you know her.
I've heard the name.
So she stopped. Well, her synopsis basically, she stopped helping black women because they were paying her to meet Michael Ealy, Idris Elba type of man, instead of her helping them meet the men that they qualify for.
Oh.
But anyways, she was talking about how she was doing hormone therapy to help her to get regulated, and they gave her testosterone to help her regulate herself. And she said when it was such a small amount of testosterone, but that amount of testosterone to regulate her had her sex drive extremely higher than she was when she was a teenager. And she was like, if this small amount of testosterone has me raging like this, I can only think of what men are going through. I can only think. They have studies out. You can research this. When a man is in a relationship, the first 6 months of the honeymoon phase, his testosterone is the highest with his woman. After that, his testosterone drops significantly. So that's why when you have a lot of men that's why a lot of men at a certain age have what we call midlife crisis, because they're trying to find that fire again. The fire, that testosterone, that burning desire in your loins, because being faithful actually kills your testosterone. And they've done plenty of research on this, and it shows when a man, they've taken studies of like 50 men who are not monogamous in relationships, and they've done a study of 50 men who were single and sleeping around, and the testosterone of the men who were sleeping around stayed higher than the men who were in monogamous relationships. So when we talk about sex, a lot of times when it comes to sex, men are trying to find or keep that burning desire. So sometimes women feel, and I hear this a lot of women say, my man don't want to sleep with me anymore. I don't know what it is. I think it's I'm gaining weight and stuff. No, his sex drive is probably down. He probably need to go take some Cialis, because being faithful to you, the sacrifices that he made to that family actually killed his testosterone. But people don't like to talk about the science aspect of this. We just, oh, you just supposed to be faithful to me, and these are sacrifices a lot of men make to have families. And then when you understand why a lot of men commit suicide after like divorces and stuff, because I sacrifice and I've given so much to this relationship, because a lot of men are faithful by force, not choice, faithful by force. And what that means is, I don't want to have to be faithful to you. I don't want to not be faithful to you. And then we have children and you start playing with my kids. And now I might have to kill you, because now you want to play with my kids because I didn't stepped out on you, because I'm from the belief that women nowadays feel like they have to punish a man for stepping out or cheating and stuff like that. So that's why we always have the get back or the tit for tat and stuff like that. But like I said, you can look this up if you don't believe me.
No, it's not that I don't believe you. It's just that I would argue that that's like a correlational thing instead of a causational thing. Like, could it not just be that in the very midst of what you're saying, that you're exactly right in what you're saying, but it's just further proving my point instead of proving yours. Like you said, that these men who are actually being faithful to one woman, you said that the testosterone, the hormone that is largely responsible for a heightened sex drive, has diminished some. Well, wouldn't that make sense? Because is it not your body's own way of training itself to be content with this one person? Because whereas you had this high sex drive before, that was a little bit of a toxic kind of high because you were wanting to have sex with so many people or having sex in unreasonable amounts. Now it's like your body's regulating itself to say, okay, this is not realistic. I can't be screwing 20 out of 24 hours a day. Like, there's stuff to do. So it's like, I think that that's a good thing, actually. Now, when it comes to libido in general, there are a lot of supplements, natural herbs and things that men can take and should, especially as they age. That's an age thing too. Let's not forget that. We ain't gonna stay 22 forever.
I'm gonna say this. My granddaddy used to always tell me, "You don't need to get no pill. You need to get a new female." And my granddad was 70 some years old. I'm just saying these are things. These are things. But I'm gonna say this: when your testosterone drops as a man, and men, older men can tell you that you feel tired. You
That's
feel
what I'm saying.
hold on, no, you feel tired. You feel lazy. You want to have that energy and that spunk, and a lot of men don't know what it is until they get them a new piece. And now I didn't got a new piece of cootie pop, and now my testosterone is rare, and now I'm ready to go. Now I feel the fire that I once had before, because you want that again.
You
Because
get
the depletion, like I said, it makes you tired, it makes you sleepy, it makes you lazy. Because your testosterone goes down, this is not saying, oh, now that I'm sleeping with one woman, I don't need all this testosterone. Because now, if that was the case, why is it affecting my sex drive with my one woman?
no, and see, I probably shouldn't have phrased it the way I did. What I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying to the point that as a man, you would want your testosterone to be at an appropriate level. Now, this may sound like I'm being very specific because I kind of am, but I really believe in holistic medicine. And so, for instance, like you watch the Crimson Cure, don't you? Every now and then,
I don't know what it is.
okay. I thought you quoted her one time about something. Anyway, the Crimson Cure. She's another female content creator that's a little bit like myself. She's a Muslim lady, and she just ended her sponsorship, not for any bad reasons, but just it was time for it to. Her contract had ended, but she was sponsoring this herbal supplement called A Game, and that's all that they talked about all the time. How A Game restores all that stuff that you're talking about, gives a man his vitality back, his energy, his libido, all these types of things. So I don't think that sleeping with another woman, Cedric, is the magic pill to restore your testosterone.
I'm gonna say this. I understand that from a woman's perspective, you would say that, and I'm gonna say this. You like women, people like to say it's an age thing, but I know a lot of older men who have never settled down and who have never got married, but always slept around, and they never have any libido issues. It's typically men who are in relationships who are trying to keep it up because their testosterone drops so drastically and so fast, um, that it's hard to even get it up for that one woman. Like I said, if your premise is true, if your testosterone drops because you're sleeping with one woman, but I can't get it up enough for my one woman, that doesn't make sense, because your testosterone levels typically have to be at a certain level for you really to function and be productive as a man. When you have people who testosterone needs to be at 700, but you have these men testosterone dropping to a 300, that's a big issue. That's a big drop. So if 300 is not getting it up, and now I got to go take a Viagra and a C Alice for my one woman, that doesn't compute.
If I may, I think that what the issue probably is the same type of thing that women go through. So like when you mentioned just like a man's overall loss of, his spunk and this kind of thing. Women go through that same thing too. Like you talk about how men, all the sacrifices that men make to be married. And I'm trying to figure out, did you forget the part where women like carry tiny human beings inside of them and push them out of a coin slot sized hole and then let their boobs drop all the way down and then they let their vaginal walls just flop all around. You forget that part? Like we make sacrifices too. Like that.
I don't forget that part, but this is the issue we're gonna always run into. Who's typically pushing for marriage?
It's women.
Okay, then. So if the woman is typically pushing for marriage more than the man, logically, it will make sense that the woman should not complain about the things that come with it when you're actually saying, "Hey, I'm going to be gone by November if you don't propose to me. I'm going to do this if you don't see any plans for further." And it's like for a further life with us. I'm like, okay, now you're trying to twist my arm and make me do stuff because women are pushing and making men do a lot of these things that a lot of men just would not do. A lot of men would not get married if the laws weren't into place, if I knew you weren't going to be a fucking bitch if I didn't marry you, if we had kids, and a whole bunch of other things like that. So when we have these conversations, it's like women are pushing to be married. So you should be okay with your walls flopping around and your
I just asked you a few minutes ago, and you told me I was wrong in my thinking, but you just once again reiterated it. You're making it sound like independent of the, because you know me, I'm a woman, I'm a man's woman. I really advocate for y'all so much and will continue to do so because I know the BS that y'all go through in family courts and all these types of things. But it sounds like to me that you're saying, even if you took away all those negative aspects, that ultimately a man just does not have a natural desire to be a husband and father. And I,
no, 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 hold on. Men, we do desire to be a husband and a father. Let's be clear. We want to be in love just like y'all want to be in love. We want to love one woman just like y'all want to, be in love, the fairy tale, all that shit. We get caught up on it too. The thing is, when it comes to why we have to be, if we could get that and still have the woman or our women, that would be a match made in heaven. That would be perfect. If I could have my wife and then say, I meet another woman 2, 3 years down the line and we're together, or another woman 2 or 3 years later, that would be perfect. That is the ideal situation for a man. Keeps your testosterone up, keeps your blood pumping, keeps you on your toes and stuff like that. But when it comes to love, men, we only have room to really love one woman in our life. After, so many men after they've been hurt, that's it. But you can see so many women be hurt, jump out of that relationship and get with somebody else and be madly in love, and then be hurt, jump out of that relationship and get with another dude, because it's different when it comes to love. Because men, when we actually fall in love with a woman, we really really love a woman. That's why I say when it comes to divorce, men commit suicide way more than women do.
well, men commit suicide more, period. But I think that that's more of
I'm talking
going.
about, but strictly from the cause of divorce.
Well, yes, I just mean that to that point, I don't think there would be many women committing suicide because of a divorce, because not that many women commit suicide, you know what I'm saying, in comparison to men, period. So it would be like saying, oh, the likelihood of you becoming a professional baseball player at the T-ball level versus someone who played in the minors. It's like, okay, well, it's more likely that you would go to the pros because you played in the minors versus playing at the T-ball level. But I just mean, like, I feel like with y'all men, I can agree with that statement that you made about the whole. I remember Tyler Perry said this in one of his movies. He was like, it was a little cliche thing, but it sounded legit, and I think it is true. He was like, men may not love as often, but we do definitely love as hard as women, of course. And I think that's true from my observations in life. Even with Darian, I mean, good Lord, it took so long for him to, let those walls down from his past relationship singular, not S plural. One relationship that he really had kind of given his all to. And it took a long time for us to get to the point that we're at now. But don't be trying to fake the funk though. Like, I feel like you're kind of trying to fake the funk. Like, if that statement is true, does it kind of not negate like 90% of what you just said an hour ago?
What you mean?
Like, if you're really saying that you guys, aside from some natural tendencies that you have that we don't, obviously you're more sexually inclined and this kind of thing, but ultimately at your core that you want love and you want commitment, just like we do, then why does it seem like you're giving all these examples of ways that men or examples of things that men should be doing to Like that's contrary to that. Like if your real desire is to be a husband and father, then be a husband and father. Like,
And a lot of men are doing that.
but do it and don't feel like it's a punishment. Don't nobody want to. I don't want to be nobody's charity case. Don't marry me because
Hold on. So you mean to tell me? You mean it? Let's ask you a real question. So you and Darian together, right? And you mean to tell me you don't think he ever's gonna want to sleep with another woman? That's what you're telling me right now. He's not gonna have no desire to. He's not gonna see a fat ass running down the street and he go like, God damn, like he's not gonna have a wondering eye, or he's not gonna look at a woman and have the male flash. I call it the male flash, where you see a woman with a big booty and you've had sex with her 30 different ways in a blink of an eye. You didn't see how you was gonna bend her over and how maybe how her body looked with no marks, no scratch marks, or maybe how tight her ass is, or how perky her breasts are. Like these are things that men have thoughts about, and I don't know why men don't even go this deep when talking to women, because the male flash is something a lot of men don't talk about. I can see a woman right now at the gym, like, oh my god, like I'm just looking at like I didn't have this whole fantasy or how I'm going to take her down. That's just a male thing. I don't know if women do that, but I'm talking from a male perspective. You know what I'm saying?
so if you're asking me, because I feel like you're asking me two different things. If you're asking me if I think that Darian has ever done what you just said, then yeah. I mean, of course I think that. Do I ever think he's desired to sleep with another woman? Like I'm drawing a distinction between, hey, this girl fine as hell, like in that split second, like damn, she got a fat ass, or damn, she fine, something like that. Okay, but versus, you know how we women are, right? For us, it's always the longevity thing. How long have you been thinking this thing?
Oh, I thought you was talking about something else.
No, like, is this somebody you know, or is this just some chick you saw 15 seconds ago in the gym bending over doing her squats? Like, okay, you're a man. Like, you see a girl, she's bending over, whatever. It looks good, but you move on. So yes, I think he's done that, but it is my hope and prayer and belief that, especially once we get married, I don't imagine him actively thinking about sleeping with, especially one particular woman. That to me is cheating. Like at that point, if you're longing for it that much, like you literally might as well do it. Like
But
that's just
I think that goes back to what we talked about earlier. When it comes to men, us being animals, even though we desire it, doesn't mean you have to act on it. And sometimes when you get older, and this is what I will say, when you get older, sometimes the desire or the fantasy is all you need to sometimes get you through. Because as a man, I've talked to women and had this grandiose perspective of them from the physical aspect, and as soon as they open their mouth, it's like no, you know what I'm saying? So it's like sometimes that desire and that fantasy of seeing a woman or longing for a woman, sometimes it's all that you need as a man when you get older. Now, like I said, some men are weaker when it comes to that burning desire, and they have to act on it. And when you're sneaking, that's when the fall of kingdoms and marriages and families and stuff like that, those are the reasons and the things that causes demise of family. But if you're open and you're being a true genuine man and telling your woman, because like, why would my wife ask me, hey, do you ever think about sleeping with somebody else? Like, why would that be a question you got to ask? And if I was a lesser or weaker man, I would say, no, baby, you're all I think about, because that'll make her feel good. But don't ask me questions you don't want to know the answer to, because now I have to be honest with you. Because if we're going to say you my best friend, we're learning each other, we're always growing, we're always building trust. Truth has to be at the forefront of trust. So if you're asking me these difficult questions where when you ask it, I want to lie so bad because I'm trying to protect your feelings, but I gotta think about my feelings. I gotta think about how I will look if you find out that I'm lying. You get what I'm saying?
yes. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say something you're probably gonna be surprised I'm gonna say. And I really hope that we're saying the same thing, even though I feel like we're probably not. But I think women do what you're saying too. Like, for instance, I cannot honestly with a straight face say that I have never Now, not as deep as you kind of went earlier, but I can't say I've never fantasized about Jalen Hurts. Like, because
Hold on, bro. Let's not go there.
no, I'm serious. Let me finish.
Celebrity crushes. We all get passes on
No,
celebrity crushes.
it's not about him being a celebrity. I just mean if it were a normal guy that looked just like him that I knew, that I worked with, or that I went to school with, it would be the same thing. I just mean that he's just one person that came to mind.
Yeah.
He's fine as hell to me. Like, he's got a nice smile and everything. Like, when I see him, sometimes I literally get like butterflies. So if you're saying, I guess us women, we experience that sensation, but it's not so much that.
Hold on, before you finish your statement, do y'all still feel that sensation when y'all quote unquote are in love though? Do you have a desire when even if Jalen Hurts, if you're in madly in love with a man, do you still feel like you have that same desire to want to sleep with a Jalen Hurts?
Oh, see, the fact that you had to add the caveat of wanting to sleep with, like, no, I don't desire for my body to be consumed by two different things.
Okay. So when you're in love, that's true statement. When you're in love, it's different on your desires, right? So when what you're talking about doesn't make sense, doesn't even add up because even as a man, if I'm in love, I can still have that desire to sleep with someone else. Whereas you were saying as a woman, no, I don't have that the same desire when I'm in love. So the whole thing is about men and women being in love and how we view sex and how we feel sex and what we deem sex, how we deem sex to be special. That is the difference.
Yeah, but I call BS a little bit because we're grown people. We've been having sex for a while, unless you're a celibate person or you've waited till marriage or something. I don't know many people, right? So we've all probably been having sex since we were teenagers.
No, I lost my virginity last night.
Can't be because you got kids that's at least 3. But so the thing is though, like, I think we know that sex is a connection between two people. And when I say that, I don't mean to get hooky, but seriously, like, because if it meant nothing, then you wouldn't risk so much to do it. Like, if having sex with this lady meant nothing, like, sex just means nothing to me, I'm just gonna risk my entire marriage and family and reputation over it. That doesn't add up.
I never said sex meant nothing.
But you're suggesting that to men that sex is this kind of passive thing.
No. Sex means a lot to it, man. Even so much that if a man's not getting it, his testosterone goes down. But how we view sex in the matter of you as a woman, people are throwing Peter whackers at you all the time. To whereas me as a man, I'm not walking down the street and women are, giving me vagina on a platter. See, that's the difference. So when it comes to sex, men a lot of times have to get it when they can, and sometimes that comes at them being bumbling fools or making a spectacle of themselves because I have to do what I have to do to get it because we know that a lot of men aren't having sex like that. You got to think a stat I just read said only 40% of men in society in history have ever procreated. So when you even thinking about that, it's like we know a lot of men aren't having sex.
But you are though. Like, you are. So how does that?
I'm having a lot of sex now. I'm confused because I'm married.
Yeah, you're married, so you actually do have sex. You do not have to, as you just mentioned a second ago. You don't have to.
But you're still missing the point. Yes, I have sex, correct. But the levels of testosterone, and this is I'm gonna say this for me. I'm speaking anecdotal. So typically, when I'm with a woman, it's hard for most women to keep up with me, right? And that's just the frequency that I like to have sex because most women say I can't keep up with. And I know so many women who get in relationships with men that they know they can't keep up with sexually and still think they are more than enough or have more than enough to keep that man at bay at home.
That's why I asked you.
I've seen this so many times, and I don't know who's to blame for that. Is it the man? Because I know, like, hey, I want to have sex 3 times last night, but we only have sex once a week, and now I got this burning desire to really do it because I need a woman who can feel me. Or is it the woman's fault because yeah, he wants to have sex every day, but I'm only giving him sex once a week, and I'm going to marry this person. So I don't know who's to blame because that should be a conversation because sex is such an integral part of our day to day life or why we connect. Because you're right, when we have sex, the chemicals get in there, they're mixing up. But you got to also think about this: men don't hold on to sex like that, like y'all do. So when we're talking about like ejaculates going in women, that can live upside of you for 3 days. I go take a shower and whatever's on me from you is off. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like it's always going to be a difference because y'all are the incubators. Even if I you get pregnant, you're gonna hold a baby 9 to 10 months. You get what I'm saying? So it's when it comes to sex and the way it changes people and our mindset, just think about like oxytocin and stuff like that, the chemical stuff and the science aspect of it. Like the science aspect of sex is different between women and men. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that men should go cheat. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as a man, I understand when men say, "Hey, I'm weak," "Shawty looking good over there." I'm not getting what I need at home, or I'm
But
getting what I need at home. I'm getting what I need at home, but she got me.
there's no but right there because then the second you say that, you negate what you just said. See, I was about to ask you, do you remember 20 minutes ago where I said, is there something like I'm just asking you because this is something that needs to be discussed seriously. Are you telling me that it is impossible for one woman to sexually satisfy a man,
I
or
would, I would say yes.
okay, but however, but I'm also saying when you said something about oh, your wife's only giving it to you once a week. Well, what if that weren't the case? Like, what if y'all sex drives were equal? What if you were literally having as much sex with your wife as you could handle and as she could handle? Then would it be okay or no?
If this is how I think. So if typically, I'm gonna go typically from what I hear, just in men group. So this is anecdotal, but this is what I hear. Most men still want variety. Even getting what you want. Like I told you, most men when I was young growing up, when they talk about getting a lot of money, it was never, well, I want to be a husband and I want to be a father. It's like, hey, I want to travel and lay this Peter Walker out. You know what I'm saying? It's never a one woman thing. A lot of times, especially in Western society, especially if you want to have, you know, kids and raise them a certain type of way, it would be advantageous to have a woman, but a lot of times men don't have the resources to make a lot of demands. And what happens is we've seen this plenty of times where a man do come up or have money and they end up divorcing or he ends up leaving because the agreement changed and he changed that agreement and his money changed. So since his money changed and that agreement changed, now she doesn't want any part of it, but he has the resources to go out and say to a woman, hey, I make $1 million a year. This is what it is. This is what it is. You can get with it or you can get gone. And like I said, typically, a lot of women are going to sign up for that deal. Typically.
You said are?
Yeah, typically, a lot of women are going to sign up for that deal.
No, no. What's going to happen is exactly what tends to happen, Cedric, is that the women who are married to those men, they leave them and they just take half. They're not going to stay married to somebody.
I agree. I said that. I said that.
When you said that, I thought you meant that they'll take the deal of, well, yeah, I recognize that you're a man of means, so I just got to deal with whatever comes with that.
No, the wife. No, when the man gets the money, if he gets the money while he in a relationship and he tries to change the agreement, the wife gonna be gone.
Yeah, like,
But
but
that's just common sense because he changed the agreement.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, so like, for instance, like somebody like Dr. Dre or whatever, though I don't know the particulars of what happened with his marriage, but in the event that his wife left him because of infidelity, I know because listen, I'm with you. I listen to all the Manosphere podcasts. I listen to you. I talk to men. I know that y'all have this thing, and to an extent, you are correct. But when you say things like, well, when you get to a certain level, it's your world. You can do whatever. And the way Western society is set up, that just ain't gonna be the case. You're not going to be able to have that cake and eat it too unless you are with an idiot.
You
Like,
no. You're not with an idiot because women always say they want a man to be able to provide and protect. Those are the number two pillars on the list of women. So if I'm affording you a lifestyle with money, I've pretty much then did all I needed to do as a man for you to be
absolutely not.
provided for.
Absolutely not.
Well,
Also,
hold on, I could have the number one reason that people get divorced is because of what now?
it's because of money. However, what I'm saying is, if you're talking about like, okay, for instance, there's the four P's. It comes from some. I have to look up whose school of thought this is originally, but basically that men for women need to provide four P's. It's procreation, which of course is another fancy word for penis. The procreation, the provision, the protection, and the problem solving. So you can't do all of those things in a safe or like well advised manner if you are out here slanging teen around. We
Why
are,
you can't?
huh?
Why you can't?
How can you be so in this conversation, are you do y'all just like when you're thinking about your own carnal desires, which we already established that everyone has, like just because you have carnal desires.
Hold on, let's clear that up. We have carnal desires, but they look differently when love is involved between men and women.
But you said that you could be in love as a man and
That's what
still want, okay,
yes, and you said as a woman, when you're in love, you don't desire to be with any other man, right?
that's correct.
Okay, so let's make sure we clear this up. We both have carnal desires, but they look differently and we act on them differently when love is involved.
So how can you love your wife knowing that it would hurt her for you to do something that you don't actually have to do? Like,
I see this goes to a deeper part of relationships because I'm gonna say this: when it comes to relationships, a lot of times people are going to have moments of selfishness. We talking about something drastic as infidelity, of course, but there will be times of selfishness in a relationship between man or woman. So it's like if you're with somebody and you're trying to do a lifelong journey with somebody, it would be naive or even foolish to think that this person is not going to do something selfish, even if it's a man's burning desire with his testosterone and his signs that backs how men are to have sex. So when we talking about hurting, like a lot of time we talk about hurting and pain, pain, uh pain. You're a Christian woman, I'm guessing, right? Okay, so like if we're gonna use like the Bible, let's use the story of Job.
Job
Job was
is a very specific example in the Bible of which there
yeah, you know what? That's what that's so I got a question.
really
Is the Bible we gotta clear this up right quick. This is a quick yes or no. Is Are we supposed to use the Bible as an example of how we should live, or we should pick and choose on what stories was a specific example for that one person?
I think that the Bible teaches lessons. So I think that with each story in the Bible, there was a lesson to be had from it. It does not mean we're supposed to mirror everything that happened in the Bible. So
Okay, we can leave it there.
yes, and now to the point you were talking about, when you say, hey, in any relationship, your partner's gonna at some point do something, maybe selfish or whatever. But here's the difference, though, Cedric. You said that okay, maybe I'm putting slight words in your mouth, but it sounded to me like you were saying, in the event of infidelity on the part of a man, that it wouldn't even be something that you're remorseful for. The difference is if you hurt me by I don't know, you say something really hurtful to me one day and you didn't realize it was going to come across that way. And it really had me down. And you're like, damn, well, what's wrong with Jazz? And then later on, you realize it was that thing you said. You're playing, oh, I didn't mean to hurt my baby feelings. Let me tell her I'm sorry. Didn't mean it that way. And I can be like, okay, and I can forgive you because you're sorry. You can't forgive somebody that's not sorry. So if you're saying that if you cheat on your wife and you wouldn't even be sorry about it, that's not.
I never said that. I never said you wouldn't be sorry. We're gonna rewind this back, Jazz. I never said you wouldn't be sorry. You asked me how would I feel about hurting someone, a woman that I love, right? And I said it would be foolish to think that people aren't going to be selfish in a relationship. I didn't say I wasn't going to be remorseful. I didn't say I wasn't going to be sad.
Earlier, way earlier, you said you would not feel bad for telling your wife that you wanted to cheat on her. Now that would be different from saying, had you actually.
Hold on, but you hold on, you conflating them because I said telling and instead of acting. That's what I said. I would not feel bad telling her because those are the ground rules that we set in our relationship. Because when we first started dating, part of us having filling each other out because my wife knew me 2 years as a friend, so she knew how I was getting down in the streets before we actually made that happen. So it's like, well, how do you feel about infidelity? And I said, hey, as a man, if I get weak, I will let you know. I won't feel remorse for that because it's like, okay, baby, let me know so I can make the decision on if I want to stay or leave, or if we can assess this, or we can work it out, or if I think this is a one-time thing. Do I think that I like the girl? Like I can't hear you, yo. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me, for real?
Hear you now. Hear you now. Yeah.
So see, I don't know what it's. Okay. Oh, hey, before I forget, because I keep telling myself to say this, can you make it to where I can see all the comments, like as you see them?
Shoot. You know what? Everybody is. If you can, you go on your laptop. Go to YouTube on your laptop and just go to the screen on my channel on my page.
I will do that. But I'm saying, so you're making it seem like that's not you bringing something to her attention. That's you. You're not even saying, I'm feeling sexually weak. We should probably address this situation. It's like you saying, I'm feeling sexually weak. I'm finna screw my coworker. I'm
No,
saying that in my mind.
it's not what I'm saying because it could be hey, well, maybe we should role play, or maybe we should.
I said, is there something we could do that would help to rectify that situation?
Well, yeah, it could be something that might do to rectify. But like I said, we got to have these talks because a lot of times, even when you talk about like I've done therapy, sometimes you have thoughts on your mind and talking about them before you actually acting on them actually helps you um be better or not act on those negative thoughts that you're having if you talk with somebody before you act on them. And so if your wife is supposed to be in this with you, that should be a talk that you have. You get what I'm saying? It might be something new y'all need to do in the bedroom, something exciting. I need to make a trip. You might need to go maybe skydiving is what you need to get your adrenaline pumping. Who knows?
Okay. So now that I can see comments, okay, Lord, my brain is okay. Let me try. I'm trying to look here and there. Let me read a couple comments. Darius says the last thing I see to him saying is no. So I'm not 100% sure which question he's answering by saying that. He says
It's
no.
remorseful part.
Oh, okay. He says we will be remorseful, but sometimes the desire is strong, and men not as used to saying no when it's getting thrown because it's not thrown at us every day from the time we're 12, like women. That is, I love hearing men use that talking point. Like y'all really. I mean, I guess it's
Jazz, why do you acting like that's not a thing? Why do you acting like men aren't trying to sleep with young girls at like the age of 12 though? Like, is that not a thing?
okay. Okay. 12. I thought he was being hyperbolic saying 12.
No, he's not being hyperbolic.
Anybody.
Okay, hold on. I know you finna go to the pedophile stuff and all of that, but let's historically, men used to sleep with women around their flowering age. even like I used the Bible, how old was Mary supposed to have been before she had a baby? When her and Joseph was supposed to be like a 70-something year old man, and she was like, I'm just saying, like these are things that if we I don't know what else to say. Like, yes, the flowering age typically, and you got to think about it. The women that we have nowadays compared to the women that back then, a girl at 12 years old was typically raised to be a woman or a wife way earlier than we have when we have women putting off marriage until 30, 35 because they want to pursue careers. Whereas if you're talking about back in the day, and you got to think about this too, it was advantageous for the family to survive if you had an older daughter at 12 years old. If a man wanted to come and court your daughter, he had to come with a goat. He had to come with some type of crop. He had to come with something to pursue your daughter in marriage at a young age. So him taking your daughter off hand, if you got other kids to feed, it would be advantageous for him, especially if you know he could take care of her, for him to marry your daughter and give you stuff to take care of your other children, your crops, and your household. And through history, women were viewed as property and treated as such. Not saying that it's right or wrong, it's just something that was done in society. So when you say 12 years old, typically, yeah, in history, yeah, men were having sex like that.
So, you know,
Alex said diaries, what they used to call it. Yeah, stuff
that,
like that.
yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I'm not arguing against the idea of that.
They're required in some countries. Hey,
Yeah,
hey, if y'all can do me a favor, can y'all share this video? Me and Jazz going in right now. Y'all share the video. If y'all can give
I'm
us
not
some
gonna lie.
if y'all can give us some likes as well, we would appreciate, especially on YouTube. Likes will help me, build my channel through the algorithm. I really will appreciate that. And
Yeah,
if you guys are not subscribed to Jazz's YouTube channel, it's called Tough Topics. Uh, I met Jazz through Facebook. She's been really cool. Um, a really good friend. I would call her friend now, and we have good conversations. Tough topics. Y'all make sure y'all go and subscribe to her channel on YouTube.
yeah, and if you're already subscribed to Seth's channel, you'll see a whole bunch of shorts from streams that I've done with him anyway. So already in good company. But I guess to Darius's point, I'm not going to pretend like I don't know that women can have. I guess that women have more access to sex than men do. For instance, I have to mention this. Since actually it's something we were supposed to be talking about anyway before we obviously went on this tangent, but we were talking about are men the prize or women the prize? And this lady, I'm talking about the plainest, overweight, like 40-year-old white lady has this. It's probably OnlyFans, but the way she was phrasing it, I think it's actually one of those like maybe older platforms that people used to use, like they used to call them cam girls and this kind of thing. And she has these men that obviously solicit her doing God knows what on camera, webcam. And so she was talking about how this man, mind you, she's trying to make him sound like such a perv, right? And this is a pretty perverted thing that he wanted. But you do this type of thing all the time. And then, you want to draw the line here. It's like, oh, he's such a creep. And you literally get naked for strangers for a few dollars here and there online. But anyway, so he wanted her to pretend to be his mom and not a stepmom, his biological mom. And she went ahead and did it, mind you. So she's just as much a creep as him. But her drawing the line was that basically after that interaction, he, I guess, developed some sort of obsession with her and started writing her like on her personal, platform, like, DMing and just blowing up her spot and this kind of thing. I'm like, so I get what you mean. That even the most unattractive, sloppy, we've seen it, right? We've seen my 600-pound life, right? Never single. So I get it. Women, we can have more sex, I guess, but
Just think about this. I was trying to find it. What's up? Hey Trey, I'm doing something right quick, okay? I was trying to find the video of the woman who said they want the $250,000 ring to be married. You seen that black woman?
mm-mm.
I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick because this woman does not look like a woman who should get a $250,000 ring. But her comparison for getting this ring uh, was all the white women in her yoga class were married and had $250,000 rings. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, baby, that that's not you. You don't have that. And it's the audacity that a lot of women think that they can actually get those type of rings, especially depending on how they look, because we know men with money and very beautiful women go hand in hand. But I say this: when a man got that bag, don't nothing outweigh that bag. You could look at an Amber Rose. Amber
Okay.
Rose was one of the baddest females that came out with the bald head. You could look at Brittany Renner. Brittany Renner now talking about she reformed and look at sex differently and feel bad that she let men use her a certain type of way and all of this other type of stuff. It's like, but y'all fumbled the bag at the end of the day. Like the man, like I said, if you have that bad, a bad woman, a beautiful woman comes a dime a dozen, and that's the sad part about it is women are putting off marriage at an older age, and the men that you're accustomed to, because women are like this, and we had this conversation. Women do not like to downgrade lifestyles. So if I'm a 22-year-old woman, I've been dealing with $10 million men. Now I'm a 32-year-old woman, and $10 million men ain't coming up. It's gonna be pretty hard for me to just downgrade to $1 million man now, because that's a drastic change in lifestyle now.
Yeah.
So, like I said, women don't want to downgrade, but women are pushing marriage off later and later. And then you got to think about it. I know it sounds bad when we say women were getting married and sold at 12 years old. You got to think about the average lifespan of humans increased so much now, because you probably average lifespan of a person was probably 25, 30. So you got to think about it, at 12 years old, you now already live half your life.
I,
So
I guess it's a way of looking at it. I mean, I guess that ultimately,
I can't.
I'm glad that the very last thing that I took out of our sex conversation as it pertains to husbands and wives is that at least it sounds like you're saying that if your spouse was 100% on board with really listening to your needs, and you have to express them too, it goes with anything. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm having an issue with something, I have to express that. But if you have expressed to your partner that I'm not sure if how we're currently tackling our sexual intimacy, it's not fulfilling me. To that, I will say that is, and this is literally just an opinion. This is just my opinion. I think that us women, I think that we are tasked with that. If my man is telling me that he doesn't feel like he's getting enough, I then I would adjust.
But let's talk about that aspect. So many women push for marriage. So I know so many, and don't even have the capabilities of, because you got to think about this. If you are a man and you're sleeping with multiple women, uh, while you're dating this woman and you go completely monogamous, now she has to take on all of that energy that you were giving to her and she thought it was okay. But now that I'm monogamous, I'm giving it to you and only you. Now the women don't have the sexual drive to keep that man. We ain't talking about the extra, the add the femininity in there now. Add the, do you want to cook? Do you want to clean? Like you literally, sex is a, if you don't want to have sex, sex is a tasking job.
Well, and it comes with, like you mentioned, the cooking and cleaning too. And I do not look forward to the day that I experience this as a woman. Thankfully, I have not yet, but I do know that I'd be one in a billion if I didn't experience this, because apparently it is a real thing. That eventually there's going to come a day where my husband's going to want to have sex, and I'm going to be just not wanting to, like, whether I'm just not in the mood or I'm too tired or something. And I just, I don't know. I,
Let's talk about that too. Alex said they really push for weddings and not marriage. I agree with that one 100%.
I agree too, Alex. I actually mentioned that on one of the other shows that I was on with Cedric. However, we have to just be careful with the generalizations, right? Because it's the same way with us women. Well, a lot of times we'll try to generalize y'all men, and I'll admit, even I try not to, but it's hard not to sometimes. But there are women out there that genuinely do want and actually take pride in. Like I actually pride myself in wearing all the hats that it takes to be the woman in my man's life. And especially when we finally do cross that threshold of becoming a married couple, I really look forward to that, to having that position basically. Like I know it's a big job, but I actually look forward to it. I get enjoyment of fulfilling that for him, whether it's the maintaining my femininity, always having something pretty for him to come home to, a nice home cooked meal, some fed and bathed kids so that he can just enjoy a couple of hours before bed with them, just playing or watching a movie or reading a story or something. I relish the idea of that. Yeah, so you said most, so obviously you didn't say all, but the thing is, to I think societally, period, between men and women, we've just lost sight of what a marriage is supposed to be. You know what I'm saying?
Marriage was intended typically for rich people because only rich people could really, go and get married. That was typically. I know people like to use the Bible and stuff like that. And if you actually do your research on the Bible's not even that old. Before actually, I think marriage is actually older than the Bible. But I digress. They have. If you go look at the Bible, it's actually copyrighted. It's a copyright on the front of it. So man, if you it's just how do you look at it? But we're gonna talk about.
That the Bibles that we read are certainly not the original. They're not the original text. And certainly some things have been hidden and taken. That's why I don't. When people start to make, like, for instance, and I know you were just, I know you were being genuine in saying it, but like when you mentioned the whole thing with Mary and Joseph, like that's why I don't get into that type of stuff, because that's all up to interpretation.
I agree.
What my interpretation was, that it says that he's 77 and she's 12. And then I've never actually read that. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're taking these bits and pieces of not you, but the people, like their understanding of, Hebrew language and Arabic, so I don't know. That type of stuff gets hairy. That's where the spiritual aspect comes in. You have to worship God in spirit and in truth. So the Bible is not going to always line up bar for bar with what you are necessarily reading. That's why you have to have that spirit of discernment. But yeah, man, I don't.
Hold on, let's talk. I'm gonna say this: when it comes to being tired too, with the women not having sex, I think society puts a lot of pressure on women having to work nowadays, because, like I was talking about, the cost of living. If a woman stays at home all day and deal with kids and then have to go to work, it probably would be a lot easier for her to please your needs sexually. But if she got to come home, tend to you, tend to a job, tend to kids, cooking, cleaning, a whole bunch of stuff that she should have to do, if you just take the job aspect out of it, it will probably be a lot easier for her wanting to have sex. So I give women that, but at the same time, it's like, what do you want? Because 80% of the household income is controlled by the woman in a marriage, right? So when you think about that, are a lot of women really, really wanting to live a lifestyle off of one income, knowing what men actually make?
You said, are they wanting to?
Do women really want to live a lifestyle with a family and a husband off of one income, knowing the cost of living and knowing what the average man makes? Is that something you think women want to sign up for?
I mean, I would say flatly no, but please let me add this caveat.
Go ahead.
We live in an age where you have literally thousands of ways to make money that do not involve even leaving your house, let alone exercising any actual physical labor or anything like that. So my whole thing, like I've been telling Darian, I want us to work smarter, not harder. I don't want you to be a plow horse to the point that you're so tired when you come home that, you're just difficult to deal with and you don't even want to be here because the kids get on your nerves and you're whatever. Nor do I want to be a woman that's working so hard that I can't even be feminine and I got to just, and we're basically both just the breadwinners of the house and just, that's not the way. And to your point, this economy does make that hard to not have to live that way, but you just gotta find ways. You just got to find ways to work smarter and not harder. I would say.
And we don't necessarily have the luxury to just find a needle in the haystack. That's hard. I do think the good women are like a needle in the haystack. I think it's only 5% of women that will be considered good women.
Yeah, we're rare.
I didn't include you in that. How you just gonna jump your ass about 5%? That don't work like that.
Anyway, I'm a 5%er in other aspects too.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about, are women the prize?
I mean, I would say that a good woman to a man, what I know a woman really could be for a man when things are working like they're supposed to be working, I think it's invaluable. I think you can't even quantify what a woman adds to a man's life when it's done correctly, when it's done in tandem. But I would say the same about a man. When the pieces are fitting together, I think that you can't even really put one above the other. Now,
hey Jazz, you can't do that sign anymore.
Oh.
You know why? That looks like just scissoring, so you can't really like do that. Hold on. You talking about in a relationship? Typically, when we hear women talk about they're the prize, it's not in a relationship context. It's in the context that I'm the prize and a nigga will be lucky to have me. And women today seem like a bunch of parrots. Like, have you noticed when it comes to women that they all have the same uniform on? Most of them do. Hair, nails, lashes, tons of makeup, colored contacts. Now we got the rise of the BBLs or the fake gym bodies and or the talking points of I'm the prize or I'm not doing 50-50 and I want a man to make this type of money but don't know how the percentage of men that make that type of money. Like we have like women are parents and they're all wearing the same uniform, the same mindset, that the same caricatures, the same attitude. It's like when you meet one, you meet them all. And I think a lot of men are running into that. And that's why I think a lot of men just throw women to the side like that, especially a man that's well-rounded when it comes to women and he knows his way around women. Then it's like, I could do what I want to do because I understand women enough that I keep meeting the same woman just in a different body.
Well, see, and that's why I stress to women that we have to stop being like that because we just really take our value down. If all of us are just literally walking just clones of one another with no uniquity about ourselves or just anything that sets us apart. Though I do think there are some basic things that most to all heterosexual men desire in a partner. But of course, there needs to be some nuance to you. There needs to be some intrigue or some mystique to you, which there can't be if you are literally just 3/4 naked all the time or this kind of thing. So I totally agree that I think that for men, whether y'all would ever say it out loud, I just think that has contributed to this kind of mindset that y'all have developed where it does seem like y'all just kind of, I hate to sound like one of those people, but it does sound like a good bit of vitriol sometimes towards women, and I get it. I say the same thing. But I don't know. There has to be an answer, though. It can't just be that y'all are like, dang, y'all women just suck. Screw y'all. Like, it can't just be that, right?
Well, I think it is at that point now when you got the passport bros going overseas to find more feminine women. But I also think the passport bros are disingenuous about a lot of things too, because they keep talking about traditional, but they're not going to countries that actually practice traditional values. They're going to countries that practice sex tourism. But you know,
Exactly.
that's the only part I feel like is disingenuous. We can't. Nobody now is traditional, man or woman in 2023 in America is traditional. I
Mhm.
think the traditionalism should just strictly be on femininity. I want a woman that's just nice to me. I just simply want somebody nice to me that, cares about me, that's compassionate, that, not out here being a hoe. Um,
To satisfy you, you said your woman got to have sex with you 3 times a day, or you gonna cheat.
huh?
You don't remember when you were saying that part?
What you mean?
I was just saying, you said just then that the only thing it would take to make you happy is just like, oh gosh, at this point, you just want a woman to be nice to you and whatever. But that's not what you said earlier. You were saying that if your woman don't have sex with you like 3 times a day, then you probably gonna cheat on her.
But that was we was talking about cheating. We just talking about just a woman. What I'm looking for. If I'm looking for a woman, I just want someone to be nice to me.
I
Like,
want to be nice to you while you cheat on her.
why you keep going to cheating? No, we talk strictly about if I'm meeting a woman, what I'm looking for. Now that sex part, I won't know the sex part until after we have sex. But we talking about the initial why I'm here and why I'm trying to date you is because I want you to just be nice. If you're nice to me, caring, show me that you're compassionate, show me that you have some type of empathy to the male struggle. Understand that money doesn't grow on trees. Just just simply nice, genuine. Like I remember meeting women and they had just had this bubbly personality. They smiled and laughed and was flirty and play hen. And now when you walk down the street, you see a woman, she has the worst attitude and mean mugging, but she's half naked. She doesn't want attention. And then she says something like, "What are you looking at?" But then she has a whole ass out. It's like, baby, you got your ass out. I'm not supposed to look. And then, you have all these videos on TikTok of these women half naked and then recording themselves and they're acting like men are creeps. And now I got to look at you. And it's like, now I can't speak to you, but then you want me to speak to you. Then you having TikToks of women say, "Oh my God, men aren't approaching us anymore." And then you next minute you're posting your DMs of niggas saying, baby, your cootie pop fat, you put it in the camera. So like, what do y'all want?
So
Hey, hold on. Before you answer, that is the typical woman a man is going to run into. Typical. I'm going to run into the, oh, I got to, post this content, be half naked. Huh?
do you feel like, because of course this would be some women's rebuttal, right? Not mine, because like I said, I don't have to apologize for being a unicorn. Like I just a lot of this stuff just don't apply to me. I see it enough to where I can comment on it and I can give commentary about it, but I've never been a woman who wanted to be salacious. Even when I felt like I had like more youthful sex appeal, I just I wanted to always keep it sexy classy. That's just always been me. So I can't
Mhm.
relate to those aspects of it. But some women might say that men created this terrible situation that we're in now. That it was y'all's overabundance of lust, and it was you cheating on your wives with these whores that brought about whore culture. To where women felt like, well, maybe the only chance I have in hell for a man to maintain sexual attractiveness to me is for me to parade myself around like a whore because those seem to be the women that y'all dip and dab with. That's what they would say.
Let's keep this all the way 100. Uh, uh, would you say most women like attention? Most women. Okay, so when you're talking about social media and what men lust over, a lustful spirit does not equate to women talking about being married or having genuine dating experiences. If you see a man and you see a woman post something and she's half naked, and you see this woman with 100,000 likes, 25,000 comments, and 17,000 shares, it's not because I'm think that she's a respectable young woman, she's selling sex. We like sex. Men like sex. This attention they're gonna get is sex. Porn industry is fueled by men. OnlyFans is fueled by men. Men like sex. If the women that's on the internet are half naked, then what are you going to expect to get? And if you, and this is the issue, if a woman is looking at said woman on the internet that's getting that type of attention and think that, oh, this is what men want, she's playing herself because she doesn't have a father, obviously, to let her know, hey, this is just lust. Those men just want to have sex with that woman. What is your end goal? Because women get on the net and then cry about, men don't treat me like I have something between my ears. They always treat me like I got something between my legs. Because that is, if you're advertising your coochie and your nipples on hard, and you're making sure people can see those in the camera, what else am I going to do?
I agree.
That's
Yeah.
just the regular male's nature. And women are always, well, y'all are sleeping with the whores and doing X, Y, and Z and this and that. I was like, what are you talking about? There's a place and a time. We all grew up on place and time. And there's a place and a time for when men dealt with whores. Typically, whores were in a whore house. Now, whores is in your face. Whores are walking in and out of Walmart. Whores is in, at the restaurant. Whores had a time and a place. Whores stood on certain streets. Whores are everywhere now. It's a flooded market of whores.
I won't pretend like self-control in any context.
Yeah. What you want? Trey, I'm doing something. Go to bed. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't pretend like self-control isn't hard in any context, because it is. I feel like we would benefit as a society, and I hate to say this because I know how it makes me sound. It makes me sound like one of those apologists or whatever, and I'm not trying to be a male apologist, but or a female apologist maybe is how I'm trying to word it, but I I think that we need to have that conversation equally. I think we need to say, in the same way that we need to scrutinize or go back to scrutinize, because even to your point about whorehouses, men didn't openly go to them. You
Right.
didn't broadcast that you were doing that. So why do y'all now broadcast how easily influenced you are by whores now? I think just the society, period, on men and women's sides, we need to have that conversation to say, we're going to have to exercise some self control. Us women are going to have to find a way to, settle down that attention need. And you men are going to have to control your sexual appetites. It's like with anything else. I like to eat. That's why I was so huge for so long. But I had to say to myself, well, dang, Jazz, I mean, you can't just plow through a whole pizza every day. You have to say, I have to have some self control. Like, yeah, I like pizza and I'm desiring it, but that doesn't mean I should be eating so much of it. And just because you as men desire this, you would desire to have sex with women, it don't mean you need to be having that much sex. And it definitely don't mean that you need to be piping up so many of these women and pumping up their heads and stuff, because you can't in that same breath complain about the caliber of women today when you are literally reaffirming the behavior. I mean, come on.
I agree with what you said 100%. I agree. Like, I was talking about this on my stream last night. Low hanging fruit. A lot of women don't know they low hanging fruit because you have a fat woman with a DM full, and then you have a bad bitch on her third rose. So it just depends on. It need to be a lot of recalibration when it comes to dating and what we are looking for. And like I said, a lot of men just want to have somebody nice, and sometimes sex is. I'm gonna say sex is a lot of people's downfall. It's just not a man's downfall. It's a lot of people's downfall. But when it comes to respect, you can't say as a woman, even though it's a man and a woman issue, you can't say you want men to respect women as a whole when the women as a whole don't respect themselves. Like the question I always ask: are men sexualizing women or women sexualizing themselves? If you get on the social media and you show me your cootie pop, and I hit your DMs about your cootie pop. Am I the one that's wrong with it, or should you not have posted that picture? Because if you posted a picture of reading your book, reading a book, I'm pretty sure nobody's gonna jump in your DMs and say, what kind of book you're reading? Nobody's probably gonna ask you anything. But women get up there and they want attention. They are fishing for the biggest simp, or somebody that can spend some money on them, spend some bread on them, or take care of their multiple kids. Like, let's be real. The women are fishing.
Well,
The
it's about leverage. And Jason Black talks about that, right? The power dynamics of relationships and how they are important. I don't think we should totally get rid of the idea of leverage, but I wish we wouldn't look at it that way. Like, I don't mind as a woman you realizing that your physical attraction or attractiveness is something that you can leverage to get what you want from a man, but it should not be to the extent of what you can get from any man. It should be to the extent of, okay, I want a husband, I want to be adored, I want to have my man, I want to have a man that is mine. To do that, I need to look good. And so I will leverage my good looks to attract a nice man to me. And I will use my feminine rules and ways, because when you're really in your feminine bag, baby, you can do it, okay? Like you mentioned, the being nice to a man. Trust me, we know. I know, like I can get what I want from there. I'm not getting that little sweet talking and get the rub in his shoulder and stuff, baby. He loves it. And I think a lot of men do, especially today because y'all are used to dealing with such harsh women. Um, but yeah, so that's leverage. But women today, they've got it like they're just using this like really toxic, icky version of leveraging men or leveraging to get what they want. And I mean, yeah, I don't know, we live in a sucky society. I think that's why it's important to have these conversations. I think that's why people love to say, why y'all always, can y'all please find something else to talk about besides relationships? It's like, no, that is the number one thing that's going to always be talked about, because it is the cornerstone of a society, is
right.
the,
Interacting with each other.
the interaction between men and
And
women.
people don't understand that, like with relationships, it ain't always about the boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife dynamic. Sometimes these conversations, even though we talk about men and women in relationships, they boil down to how you interact with people at work, how you view women at work, how you get along with them, and other aspects of life. It's not just going with the relationship aspect.
Right.
But I agree. I think men need to recalibrate on what they do. I got an app idea, right? So I'm gonna tell you my app idea.
Oh, this is a good time to pause. Let me go grab some water.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot there's you're right. I think a lot of people is tired of being called out and shit like that. I do think that relationships nowadays, like they said, do the do the relationship pool have pee in it. It got all sorts of type of stuff in it.
Oh, the the dating pool.
Dating pool, yeah. But my app gonna be it's gonna be called Body Count, right? And basically, it's going to be where a man, when he goes on a date with a woman, he can like put her social media profile in it and put like the date that he went on a date with her and all of this other type of stuff. And then when they like in a relationship, he could put all the women that he been in a relationship with, her name, social media, and stuff like that. So men can have like a background check on these women, like the whole facts basically. And so, like every time you've been in a relationship with a woman, like you have to substantiate you was with her. Like you can't just be like, oh, I dated this woman. It has to be like you have to upload like 10 pictures of y'all together, and like you have to really show proof, like text messages of "I love you, baby," or if you have like a video, maybe you smashing her, you can upload that. It'll be safe. It'll be encrypted, but these will be like test Darius said we're gonna be the Supreme Court fight that out. But
Right. You can't.
just think about how that'll fuck the game up. Think about how much money I'll make off that app.
No, you're 100% right in saying if there was a way, because one thing, if there's one thing I can't stand about the modern woman, among the million other things, I hate how disingenuous they are. I hate how they pretend like these things that men are saying about the majority of them is not true. Like I literally, I'm talking about every year. I made a video about this one time. Every year I tell myself I'm going to get some more female friends. I'm like, I don't hardly have any female friends. Let me find some girlfriends to
You
start.
don't know it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No, you're right. Every year I learn my lesson to not do it, because every girl I meet, I hang out with her for a few weeks or whatever. We're kicking it, it's cool, and then I realize, dang, this girl is a 302.
Yeah.
And I can't vibe with it because I know I'm gonna end up saying something. If not to her directly, I'm gonna make a video and she's gonna be butthurt and it's just like, you know what? Hey, listen, if you like it, I love it, but you're gonna have to do that on your own time. And I'm just not gonna be connected to you. My man ain't finna think that I'm a bird of a feather flocking together, because I'm not. I'm not with you, baby.
It be stuff like this.
Oh, at first I didn't see the woman. At first I only saw the teddy bear. Lord. Oh,
And she'll be the one crying about respect.
yes. Oh, God. I mean, tell me you got daddy issues without telling me you got daddy
Right.
issues.
Like some type of issue. And like I said, I hate it. Women get upset that men boil them down to sexual objects and don't want to hear what women have to say. But a lot of women boil themselves down as sexual objects. It's getting to the point now. Like I have this dialogue, and I think it's always good to have dialogue between men and women. But honestly, when it comes to relationship, men kind of need to just stop talking to women about relationships. We just need to let women fall and crash and burn. Because let's talk about an Amber Rose.
Okay.
Amber Rose is a woman who had a Kanye West and a Wiz Khalifa. Then decides to tattoo a big thing on her forehead, a big name on her forehead, and then decide to host something called a slut walk. And you have young women participating in something called a slut walk, and they never take a step back to say, does Amber Rose have a life or lifestyle that I would like to mimic? Is she, happy with kids? Does it seem like she's put up, or is she out here, you know, on podcasts debating men about, relationships and stuff like this? Like, what is she? Is this person having a movement that you want? Let's talk about a Brittany Renner. Brittany Renner got famous because of the Colin Kaepernick thing at the beginning, and she flew her she flew herself out to get this man some cootie pop. You feel what I'm saying? So when you have these women that are in the forefront and supposed to be sex symbols, and they don't call themselves like leaders of women or role models, but women put these women on pedestals and exalt these women. It's like, do these women really have the lifestyle that you want? And now we have an Amber Rose telling her son that she got to make money on OnlyFans. How in the world you got a child? I know you got one child, maybe two, but
I think she just has the one, but even so, are you about to say something to the effect of, "There's no way she could be hurting for money"? Get it?
yeah, yeah,
Like, it's just the biggest cop out. But you don't even have to take an extreme example like her, because we know somebody like her is just lying about money. But some of these other women, I don't know who it was that did this study. Now, the numbers might have changed because it was a couple years old. But when OnlyFans kind of first got going, like maybe that first year after it became really like mainstream, there was a study that was showing like the average woman on there was making like $200 a month
yeah,
off OnlyFans. And it's like you're literally opening your butt crack to strangers,
yeah.
spreading your cheeks in a camera for $7.99, sis. Like just cut the camera.
The thing is, $7.99 isn't bad if you had a good quantity. But a lot of women, the thing about stuff like OnlyFans, you have to already have a following before you go do a OnlyFans.
Right.
You can't be some regular degular female and just like, oh, I'm gonna start an OnlyFans. Another thing, I used to subscribe to some people OnlyFans, right? And the thing is, a lot of women that's on there are lazy. They don't update their content. They don't update their pages. They're not posting frequently. Like these are, it's like you selling sex and you selling content. You have to be on this. You have to be give like some women, are A1. You can tell why they're doing it. Hey, this is a special video for you, and they'll send the video, and
Hold on a second. You were talking, and then I was listening, and I think you know what I'm talking to ask you.
what?
When was you subscribed to these people's accounts? Because I certainly hope that you was not subscribed to these accounts while being a married man, because if so, that's something we need to talk about. Maybe not tonight, but I have wanted to talk about what is appropriate for a married man. And stuff like that, I do not think is appropriate for a married man. I'm just saying.
Okay, so hold on. So if Darian watches porn right now, that's the issue too.
You might think it's ridiculous for me to say, but I think so.
Okay. Well, if you had that mindset throughout, okay, I understand that, but I don't feel as OnlyFans is cheating or something bad in your relationship, especially if you already watch porn. Like I don't watch porn anymore, but OnlyFans was this is the real shit, really on some research shit. And if you've been on OnlyFans enough, you know that a lot of times OnlyFans, you can subscribe to people channels for free. And what they do is they allow you to subscribe for free, and they have like pictures and stuff. But then if you want to see like the actual naked stuff with them having sex, then you have to pay. Or you'll get on there and subscribe to people channel, and they'll be like, thank you for subscribing. Here's a video, and it might be a snippet, like a 30-second snippet of them doing something nasty, and they be like, they'll send you another video. The only way you can unlock that video is if you pay. Typically, I didn't pay anything on OnlyFans. OnlyFans was for research purposes. So when you get on OnlyFans, you start to see like I said, how lazy a lot of these women are. And going back to your point, I don't think for me in my relationship, I don't think it's that bad. You feel what I'm saying?
Well,
I watched porn with my wife before, so it's
so that, but that's different, right? Like, for instance, so just on a quick little thing, like me and Darian got into it so bad one day. It wasn't even something he actually even did. It was literally just a hypothetical conversation. But you know me, I'm a Leo woman. I'm a little strong-willed. I try to tone it down.
although you blaming your zodiac. Here we go. It's gonna be a good story.
I was not. He basically was saying that I made a statement to say that I'm one of those women that I don't think my man need to be going to the freaking strip club. Like, I don't understand how we as a society have normalized such strange behavior. Like,
hold on. So you mean to tell me he can't watch porn? He can't go to the strip club. You already said he can't cheat on you. So when it comes to all of his everything sexual, you got this man covered. Now, what you telling me? Every little. So okay, I got another question. How do you feel about your man masturbating?
because I got to address this. Speak on what you know, sweetheart. Listen, I am not a naive person. I have dated men in my youth. I dated a lot of men. I am a spiritual woman. I am a Christian woman. I believe God for what He says. It says that He's going to provide me with a man that is of the caliber to be my husband. God knows that I do not plan on being with a man, having a man be my husband, that is led by, not that he's never affected by. For instance, you talking about OnlyFans and strip clubs. We live in a society where Darian wouldn't even need to go to those places or subscribe to those things to even see half the 3/4 naked women. You would just be scrolling on Instagram and see these people. Obviously, I'm not telling him he can't be on Instagram. I know he see girls in thong bikinis and stuff. Like, okay, that's not the same thing. You actively looking for salacious content in my absence is not appropriate.
Okay, well, I'm asking you, how do you feel about your man masturbating?
Without me present,
Yeah, without you there, how do you feel about your man masturbating?
yeah, I don't feel no type of way about that.
You would.
No, I would not.
So what he gonna masturbate to?
I mean, I could.
So you just thinking he's just going in there and just jacking off with no video, no priming, no nothing. He just
I let's just.
Derek said he gonna lie to you. That shit funny because that's definitely what's gonna happen. Because I don't think I'm listening to you, and I think you are a very bright woman. Okay, I don't think listening to you. I don't think you foster an environment for your man to be all the way 100 with you, especially from the male perspective. This is me on the outside looking in, and I give uh this advice a lot. I'm not giving advice, but I'm saying from what I hear, and I've heard women say what you said a lot. I don't think you're fostering an environment for your man to be 100% open with you, like women claim that they want their man to be open. If you wouldn't have a problem with him masturbating, but you have a problem with him going to OnlyFans and strip clubs, do you understand when a man is masturbating, typically he's not going to be masturbating to you?
So I feel like maybe to your earlier question about the porn thing, like, okay, so what Alex just said, because I'm not going to say it out loud, that's what I was trying to get at. Now, to your,
What
if
you mean?
he said when he says they, he's talking about he and I.
Oh, maybe they got videos, but I agree with Cedric. No, he agree with me because I'm not, bro. I'm not gonna go in there and masturbate to a video of me and my wife. What the? That's weird.
Boy, you almost made me cuss on camera. How is that weird?
Because the point of masturbation is to get away from having sex with you. That's why I'm masturbating. Because if I wanted to watch a video of us, I would just come into the room and have sex with you.
What if I wasn't there? I thought that was the whole point.
No, masturbation is not because you're not there. Masturbation is because I want some me time away from you sexually. That's why when I have these conversations with women and they always talking about cheating, and I say, "Do your man masturbate?" and they be like, "Yeah, I found that he masturbates." That means he has enough energy to have sex with you, and you're not pleasing him enough, so he goes into the bathroom to make sure he still gets that extra 1 or 2 nuts out during the week. But women don't even understand this. It's simple.
I am so glad we're having this conversation, as awkward as it may be, because this proves to me something. This actually makes me really happy because I cannot relate to anything you're saying. Do
You
you know
And that's hold on. And that's why I said you don't foster an environment for your
you
man to say,
be finished?
go ahead.
I'm not saying that it would not be a possibility for these things to come up. I'm saying, like, I hate to be so. And I'm sorry. I know you don't like for me to filter, but I mean, I'm a lady. I'm a Christian lady. My parents might watch this. If anything, sometimes I'm the person that's like, "Hey, I know you're a firefighter, and I know you just worked a 24-hour shift, but I've been waiting for you to come home, and you know." So I've never experienced it to the point where I ever felt like he was he's I don't know, like I just don't get that vibe. And I think women, if we're nothing else, we're intuitive. I think we could at least feel if our men was feeling sexually unsatisfied. And I just have not. You gotta think me and Darian ain't been together as long as you and your wife. So maybe things are still fresh for us.
I know couples. I know plenty of men, even during the honeymoon phase. are still masturbating.
I'm not saying this is
Okay, so do you ask? Have you ever asked Darren, has he masturbated before?
I think I have asked him that.
What was his response?
But you're gonna laugh.
No. What was his response? I don't.
No, because I need to tell you what specifically I asked him.
Okay, go ahead.
Say, do you masturbate? I said, have you ever masturbated to one of our videos? To which he said, sometimes. And I was like, oh, okay. And it did kind of
That
seem.
was a lie. Oh my! If he acted like that, that was the biggest lie ever. Who says, yeah? And like I said, if men men that are watching this,
I believe that was a dishonest response, and that
you don't foster an environment for your man to be all the way open with you. I know this is a hard conversation and it's a weird conversation, but like I said, I think you're a very intelligent woman, and I would like to see people win in their relationships. But I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know.
I'm just letting you know that y'all are going to have to, if you really believe that everything you're saying is like going to be, you wonder why y'all are getting divorced at 80% rate.
Hold on. That's not true, because most people get divorced for the money, not a sex.
No, listen. First of all, let's just be honest. Certain stats you can't even quantify. When you get a divorce law, a state like California, the largest populated state in the country, by the way, has no fault divorces. So you're talking about an entire state worth of divorce stats that we'll never know because they don't even have to list a reason.
But we don't. Why are you making it so complicated? Because all you gotta do is typically have studies where you asking people or women, hey, are you divorced? Yes. Who filed for divorce? Me. Why did you file for divorce? Money. It's not that simple. If you ask 100 women and this study and 80% said money and I filed first, and then you have another study, it's not like it's a difficult thing to figure out. Maybe not on the legal papers. They're saying, oh, well, we're getting divorced because of money. But my thing is, it's not hard to have these type of conversations on a mass scale to ask people, well, why are you getting divorced? Who initiated divorce? What was the reason? That's not a hard thing.
All I'm telling you is I am a woman. The same way that you've been talking so matter of factly this entire time to say, I'm a man, I'm telling you this is the truth. I'm a woman, I'm telling you this is the truth. If you really believe that most women on this planet are okay with the idea that their man basically has no sexual loyalty to them, you are insane, and y'all are going to continue to get divorced.
I'm gonna tell you this. That's also a Western. Monogamy is also a Western thing. So and
westernized.
And yeah, no. But I'm saying if we are changing things, and this is what I say, the normal. The normal is something that is more than it's not. So being in a Western society and how people are is really still fairly new in evolutionary biology, right?
Okay, but even if we talk about other cultures and how they practice polygamy, those are established norms. So to those people, they don't even know any different. So you can't really compare that. You can't say, oh, well, we're supposed to be doing this other thing anyway. You didn't grow up doing it, and neither did anybody else born in the United States right now.
But to your point, if those people are practicing it, typically, I would think those people are practicing polygamy based off of how biology works, instead of trying to push people and conform people to make them do something they're not used to doing. And that's why we have such a issue now with infidelity, because we're trying to put a round peg in a square hole.
It's not polygamy, Cedric. If what you told me an hour and a half ago is correct, it's not about polygamy at all. Because let's just be fair. If you were a polygamist right now, you might have 3 wives? To your point, that still ain't enough coochie for you. So it ain't about having 3 wives.
I didn't say that.
Let me finish my point. It's not about you having 3 or 4 wives. It's about the fact that you have an insatiable sexual appetite. So how are you supposed to just get married 150 times until you die? So at some point, you're going to have to exercise some self-control to say, I cannot sleep with every woman with whom I share a physical attraction. Is that not reasonable?
But hold on, let's go back. What you said was reasonable, but I also stated if we're talking about polygamy, it needs to be there needs to be an environment that fosters you to ask for other women. I told you that if my wife had to be in a certain type of lifestyle or feel comfortable enough for me to even go and proposition her for, another woman in the bedroom. That's not something that I think that you should just ask for because you have a sexual urge. And also when it comes to like polygamy and stuff, men have to be able to afford those wives and afford those women. So that's always been the number one criteria is can your money afford you having these multiple wives? It's not about your sexual desire. And also when it comes to sex, how women have sex is so totally different when you have the technologies that we have nowadays. So women even vetted men way differently than they do now because women wasn't popping coochie like they is now because they knew the risk of dying. One, they knew the risk of not wanting to be a single mother or not having a man being able to provide for that child because the number one thing of what women want is a man to be able to financially provide for a child. That's what we know throughout history, throughout mammalian science that we can go back and look at what women typically go for when it comes to reproduction. So when I'm having these conversations with you, it's like a lot of this stuff is just biology. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying that you should be able to go out here and sleep with any woman that you want. Because I agree, men should have some self-control. Women should have some self-control. Everybody needs self-control. But it still doesn't take away from the natural biology. And like I said, you have to, I'm a big proponent of this. You have to foster environments to ask for certain things that you want. People call it leverage. I call it fostering an environment because the reason I say that because a lot of you have some men that say, "Hey, I got the money. You're gonna do what I say." I'm not that type of dude. I'm like, "Hey, baby, are you comfortable? What do you need to be comfortable? I'm gonna make sure I do for when I have my list of demands." I think that's appropriate for how my life works. I had know another a lot of men that do have money. I mean, I ain't listening to nothing these women got to say. I got the money. She coming into my house, driving my whip. She got to listen to what I say. And some women sign up for that too. So, like I said, when I ask you about like even a simple part of masturbation, and you said your man said, sometimes that should let you know right there. That should let you know right there, even if you think, oh, I got the higher sex drive or whatever, but he still has time to masturbate. So who's he thinking about when he goes in there to masturbate? That's just what you got to think. Who, Harry, who are you thinking about when you go in there and masturbate? Because I know you're not thinking about me. Because if you were thinking about me, you would just come bring me the Peter Walker to me because I'm in the house with you. Why would I masturbate to a video of us when I could just have the real thing?
See, that's what I'm saying. And this could be what you're saying. You could be telling me that if you're asking me and I'm just a shoot straight type of person. If I sound silly saying what I'm saying, then I sound silly because this is how I really feel. If you're asking me if I believe that while we are in this condo, that my man sneaks off to the bathroom to rub one out, no, I don't think that that happens. I think if Darian is doing that, it's probably while he's here, while I'm at work. Times that we're apart from one another, where he has some time to himself or something. I mean, I guess. So I would think that if you feel the need to masturbate while your woman is literally in the house with you, I think that says more of, I don't know if that, I would have to solicit the opinion of a few more men to see if that's a thing.
Well, we got men. We got men in the chat, fellas. How many of y'all was getting sex on a regular from a woman and still masturbated while in their relationship?
While she was present, you are leaving that out.
What you mean present? Like you should.
House.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's that too. Like if you sit on the couch and if you're in the house, yes, that happens too.
I guess Alex is saying not him. I don't know. He says not I. I don't know if that's no. Listen,
I'm telling you, I've had this conversation. This is what I'm gonna go back to this comment right here. Alex said,
no, he
maybe,
said he did.
huh?
He just said he did. He said he used to have to all the time.
Yeah, I did. I used to have to all the time. That's what I'm saying.
I
This
don't.
hold on. This is what I was trying to say. Even Alex, I'm gonna put it on the screen. Alex said maybe they got videos, but I agree with Cedric when I was saying earlier who masturbates to a video of themselves having sex. That's weird. That's weird. And you know, and Alex might be the exception. It might be the exception because I know so many. What did she say, sis? Hold on. Says men can do that anytime, and there's nothing wrong with it. They have biological buildup. But this is all I'm saying. Like, if you talking about biology, most women cannot keep up with a man's sex drive. I know so many. Like, I've been in men groups, I've been on basketball teams, I've been on football teams, I've been, when niggas used to make jokes about sticky socks, and I know they was hitting 3, 4 girls on the cheerleading team, and they were still talking about, hey, did you see this new porn star, Melrose Fox and stuff like that? I'm like, oh, okay. Now these niggas telling me about porn star. I don't watch porn like that, but it's like we having these conversations and dudes are literally talking about the new porn stars and stuff like that. Okay, you talking about porn star, but you got a girlfriend. You're not sitting there watching porn with your girl and jacking off like that. Now I do know some couples that do that. They get a kink out of it and fetish, and some women who like to see that man
That watch porn together. And also, what is the point of you recording you and your partner having sex if you're not going to watch the videos of you and your partner having sex? So why did you say that was so weird?
No, to watch it while you masturbate, not to record it. And some of those things are just keepsakes. It's just like it's equivalent to a trophy. And I'm gonna be real with you. I don't record sexual encounters. Only time I did was when I was younger, when I was trying to show like my homeboy, hey, look, bro, hey, look, I hit old girl. This is us. Typically a lot of men show me video even of their wives, them having sex, because I know it sounds weird, but some men be like, they okay with, hey, look, bro, look, I was hitting this chick. Like, that's why I don't record, because there's no point. If I'm enjoying, I think that's go back to our idea of social media, right? If you're really enjoying yourself, how do you have time to take out the phone and record this extravagant event or make this video look so fire? If you're really enjoying yourself, if you're really living in the moment. I live in the moment when I'm having sex. I'm not pulling out my phone, or you know what I'm saying? So
I want to go to Alex's comment. So he said either she gonna give me some or I'm gonna find someone else. So see, I don't know, Alex, if you were here. This been a me and Cedric have gone pretty long. I don't know if you were here earlier, but you're saying what I was saying. But Cedric said that it really does not have at to some point with y'all men, it doesn't even have anything to do with whether
hold on. Well, I'm gonna ask this coming. Hey, but she not. This is not about her leveraging the vagina though. It's about she's actually giving you, what she deems to be what you need. Like, she's saying she's giving you sex frequently.
exactly. So what I'm telling you is if a woman is giving you adequate sex and you are still looking outside for it, that is just a you thing. Because at the end of the day, if it's just the sex that you need, then and there's only 24 hours in a day. So it can't just be that you're just wanting, let's just be real. We've been candid this whole time. How many times a day do you actively think, wow, I want to have sex right now?
Say what now? I'm sorry.
How many times a day do you actually think to yourself, I want to tap some right now?
I think about sex all day long.
Not thinking about sex, but that you,
I want to have sex. I think about wanting to have sex all day long.
so you want to have sex all day long.
Yes, I'm thinking, if I had to put a percentage on, the amount of sex I think about daily, I'll probably say 75% of my day is me thinking about wanting to have sex. Alex said definitely all day long. Like, the stuff I'm telling you is not far fetched. This is just male biology. I know you're trying to wrap your woman brain around what I'm trying to tell you, but I'm not going to steer you wrong. Most men I've talked to have what women deem to be adequate amount of sex and still find time to go and watch a porn and stroke one out. But like I said, you don't have to believe me. But like I say, if you saying, oh, you can't watch porn, you can't do OnlyFans and all this, and then you find out your man is masturbating, well, who do you think he's masturbating to? Because his damn show ain't gonna be out. He's not gonna look up a picture on your Facebook page. Oh, this is a sexy
have
picture.
I have to clear something up because I don't let people gang up on me. First,
We're not ganging up on you.
first of all, I didn't say that men could not masturbate to that earlier comment. I don't take offense to a man wanting to masturbate. I masturbate. Human beings masturbate. I'm not an idiot. That's the first thing. The second thing is what I am saying is if you're saying that a man should want to, that it's strange for a man to masturbate to videos of his own self and his woman having sex, but not strange to masturbate to strangers having sex, that you're missing the point I'm saying is that spiritually as a culture, we are so debased that you think this conversation is normal. You think that what you're saying makes sense just because it's common, and it doesn't. Like, it can't just be that you're having sexual urges because everyone has sexual urges. But it can also be that your entire existence is predicated on sex. That can't be it either.
Jazz, I'm gonna say this, and this is how I'm gonna boil this down. If your man goes to the bathroom and masturbates to other women, typically that's him letting out his sexual urge in the bathroom and not on another woman. That is typically that is typically him not cheating on you. That is typically him saying, I love my woman. I don't really want to hurt her. Like you were saying, you thinking about hurting. I don't want to hurt her. So I'm gonna go and watch this porn to get out, any little fantasies and my deep, darkest thoughts that I really have that I can't tell my woman that. Because what I'm saying is normal. You think it's not because you're still trying to wrap your woman brain around it. Even if before porn and access to the internet, I'm pretty sure niggas was with Jesus and snuck off real quick after they got some and was thinking about a woman they saw, in a hijab or something like that with their face covered and had some sexy eyes. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna stroke this one out to this woman. That's just a male thing. And I'm keep trying to tell you this is a male thing, but you keep trying to be like, your whole existence can't be sex. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. But if your man takes the time out to go to the bathroom to stroke one out, that's typically because he's not trying to get at Peter Walker to somebody else. But that desire to want to have sex with other women is there because if he wanted to have sex with you, he would just come in there and have sex with you. That's what Alex's point was. I'm not masturbating because she's in there. And that was my whole point is who is going to masturbate with videos of themselves?
So and you know what? I that part I can concede to. If you're saying that that masturbation is a way for men to basically safely uh deal with their urges or something, then, and once again, I never said I had an issue with men masturbating. But then I certainly think that that's something that y'all should do, and it doesn't even really have to be discussed. It's a pretty private thing, just
I
like.
think, I think that's a good comment. Right to Freedom Girl says, sis, ladies, we are ill equipped to determine what an adequate amount of sex because their bodies and brains are vastly different. I agree with that comment wholeheartedly.
So things. Thank
There it says, not at all. It's not about our existence, it's only sex, but we want to have sex more than women do.
Oh,
Right to freedom. Right to Freedom Girl says, sis, I like your personality. I like her personality too.
thank you, Right to Freedom Girl. And I'm reading the comments.
Hey, Right to Freedom Girl, make sure you go subscribe to her YouTube channel too. It's Tough Topics on
Yeah.
YouTube. Tough Topics on YouTube.
And I think there's another page called Tough Topics. So my little icon is like a cartoon microphone, like a pinkish, purplish kind of microphone. That's me.
I want to can I put links in here. Let me see something real quick.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
What you finna say, Jazz?
Oh, yeah, I was just telling her thank you for saying she likes my personality. Also saying I have to give this disclaimer. And, for me, it's not hard for me to have these conversations. But I know how people are going to take what I'm saying. Like, I think, Cedric, that, between you or Alex or Darius or whoever else gentleman wise might be watching this, y'all have to understand, I'm looking at this from a Christian lens. I believe that Christian men or men of faith can, through either, who knows, the same way anybody else, crucifies their flesh, through prayer, through fasting, through, just whatever, that you can rise above the prevalence of,
Yeah, yes, yes, right, Freedom Girl, the pink microphone.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And I'm sorry, like I'm never going to fully concede to the idea that there's no way that I could look forward to being married to a man that is able to subdue some of these sexual desires, or maybe
That's what I was saying. The masturbation is them subduing those sexual desires.
but I said that though I never really particularly thought about it from that exact lens, I can concede to that. I say that, of course, if you ask me which I would rather have, I would rather have my man taking care of his business and his private time if it's going to keep him faithful to me, and if it's going to refresh, hey, fine. If you needed to envision yourself with Megan Good for
That's paid out. Oh, Megan Good.
something, okay.
That's paid out. Megan Good. Them lips. Ooh. I used to be in love with Kiki Palmer, but she got pregnant. She started being weird. Darius said, I'm subscribing. I enjoy her conversation. She don't pop off. She keeps it logical.
Thank you. Thank you. This is the most passionate I have ever been. Like, I have never, like, this is the most heated, and I'm not heated, but this is
yeah, Janelle Monáe. Oh, and that Glass Onion. Oh, the Glass Onion movie.
No,
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And just woman to woman, just to say that she looked really nice. In that Antebellum movie, Janelle Monáe was stunning. Like, if y'all haven't seen that, like I was like, girl, body is snatched. She was really having me inspired. I gotta get in the gym.
Thank you, Right to Freedom Girl. We really appreciate you subscribing.
Thank you guys so much. And honestly, too, a little shameless plug. I'm a lot more new to all this than Cedric is. What's really going to help me out is like shares, just getting the content out there for more people to see. I recognize everyone's not going to agree with things. That's fine, but on the content level, it's mostly just about the exposure. There's no such thing as bad publicity. You're getting paid eventually for the views and the clicks and this kind of thing. So thank you guys. Cedric, I think I'm gonna have to hop off. I have had like 2 or 3 people call me.
Okay, it's been a long night. I'm glad we did this. Y'all, Sharon Carpenter too, but y'all may not know her. I stay shooting at her on Twitter. Tell her I'm coming to LA in a few. I'm gonna have to look her up. We're gonna have to look her up. Hey, Alice, we gotta do the podcast on things you don't supposed to say in court. Yeah, Alex, he's a lawyer, you guys. I think he's out in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. We got to talk about a lot of stuff when it comes to this legal system and stuff he's seen. And, he made a post one day about not smelling like weed. Or maybe that wasn't him. Maybe it was another lawyer about not smelling like weed showing up to court. But we're going to let me finish my Cali exam. 3 weeks. I got you. But it's the New Normal Podcast. If y'all like the video, please subscribe to the channel. Share the video. Give us content that y'all want us to talk about in the comment section.
Oh God, yes, please do that. We will literally chop it up about anything.
We'll talk about anything. We both trying to grow our channel. I'm finna put the dream team together, and y'all gonna love it. I got a big vision. Thank y'all for subscribing to Tough Topics. We really appreciate that. Also, share her videos. Also, it's Tough Topics on your Facebook, right?
On Facebook, I'm J Max, so it's just JAY, which the same I think is my name on here right now.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all can follow me on Facebook.
Hey,
And
right to Freedom Girl. Make sure you hit the bell. And another thing is a lot of people say they hit the bell, but they don't get notifications to their phone when I'm going live. So that's another weird thing. But I'm gonna let you go, Jazz. I appreciate it. It's a new normal podcast, and we gone.
all right, bye.